Greetings, and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin. Joining me today, half-cooked but still fit to rule, or so she thinks. It's Joanna Robinson.
Half-cooked is generous, I would say. I think we're fully cooked here on the House of R pod.
That's right. Aegon half-cooked. We're fully cooked. Joe, we are here, of course, to dive deep,
profoundly,
into the Treasons at Tumbleton, the season 3 finale, unbelievable, of House of the Dragon. And we will dive into all of that right after this. All right, as usual, that was a crock of shit. We're not diving right into it. We're going to do programming reminders first. Here they are. Listen, we usually look ahead for programming reminders, but we're going to look back for a second because we want to make sure you know, in addition to doing Talk the Thrones live on Sunday night with CR, which was a blast. Check that out if you haven't yet. We had the pleasure of chatting with House of the Dragon showrunner and co-creator Ryan Condal. He joined us for like nearly an hour to talk about the season finale, season 3, the series to date, adapting this text. That dropped on Monday. That's already up waiting for you, so check that out if you haven't yet. Here's what's coming next. Lanterns premiere. Can't wait. Genuinely can't wait.
Everyone around the office is buzzing about the first episode of Lanterns.
I thought it was delightful.
I know. I was just talking to Midnight Boys about it. Like,
I'm excited to talk about it. We will probably also have some, we think, X-Men news, Marvel news, because who knows, but like we're going to D23. The plan is to try to go to D23, so I've never been. That'll be a first for me, not a first for you, but my maiden D23 voyage. So hopefully we'll have some exciting Marvel news to catch up on as well at the top of next week. And then we're going to be on the road the back half of next week because we're going to Baltimore. We are going to my homeland.
Not enough of on the road. Now we're going to Baltimore.
No, though I will say it looks like it's going to be a 2 to 2.5 hour drive on Friday in rush hour traffic.
So
not
hopefully
ideal.
I will make it to this panel.
Yeah, I'll save a seat for you. We'll be in Baltimore for House of R night at Camden Yards. And it's a thrill. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to really brace for a wonderful live event. And then disappointment with my first pitch, and then a wonderful watch along. It's going to be peaks and valleys.
I feel like the collective well wishes of the Bad Babies, like clap if you believe in fairies, like
Yeah.
you know, just buoy Mal up. You don't need it. You're gonna crush it. I'm excited.
I'm going to crush something, perhaps a bone or ligament, as I attempt
a shoulder blade.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. But if you have procured tickets to join us there, check your inbox. You have arrival instructions from the Orioles. 4:30 arrival at the warehouse, 4:50 live pod, and then again, you get to watch the game with us, hang out. So it's going to be a blast. We can't wait. Joanna, how can everybody follow along?
What a great question. Yeah. Follow us to Baltimore, but also...
Yeah, but not in a creepy way, like in a cool, chill way. Follow us in a cool way.
In a really normal, chill, fine way. Why don't you just subscribe to the podcast? That's a thought.
Great idea.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Follow us on social at House of R pod.
That's right.
On various social media platforms.
Yes.
You can watch full episodes, including me podcasting from the dark as we talk to Ryan Condal on YouTube or Spotify.
That's right.
hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. I do have a few quick emails, things to get to before we go forward. Is that all right with you, Mallory Rubin?
Let's do it.
Okay. We got a lot of questions from people about Buffy season 5 and whether or not we will be covering it anytime soon. I just wanted to announce that Mallory has begun her Buffy season 5 watch. That does not guarantee when we will be covering it. Just wanted to let you know, just in case we thought we had abandoned the project. We have not.
No.
Mallory has begun her season 5 watch.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on. We will figure out when we can do it.
I feel like we can safely say September. No question. I don't know if late August is realistic, given that it's August 11th currently and I've watched 4 episodes.
Okay.
But count on it around let's say around football kickoff if you're excited for some football.
A notoriously unbusy time for you.
Sometime in September. That's a pledge. That's a pledge from me to you. God damn it.
Our listener, Laura, wanted to share that for people going through House of the Dragon withdrawal over the next couple of years.
Yes.
No free ads, but the Calm app, which I have used in the past to try to go to sleep, has some stories from using House of the Dragon actors. So Gail Rankin does like a witchy walk through Harrenhal.
Oh my.
Steve Toussaint, Harry Collette, Fia Sabin, like they Westeros-inspired tales to help you fall asleep. So if you want to listen to some of your fave actors who are either dead or alive on House of the Dragon, you can listen to them on the Calm app.
Love it.
Also, our listener Rachel dispatch from the UK about the Mad King play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are buzzing about it. I am avoiding all, even though it's like a story we know, I'm avoiding spoilers because I really...
Stage show specific spoilers.
I'm really hoping to see it.
That's right.
When I'm in the UK. It's supposed to be closed by the time I get to the UK, but we heard from our listener Rachel, who was at the Dirty Duck pub, who met an American guy who is the, quote, agent for the tour in North America. And this is a breaking news from our listener because an American tour has not been announced for the Mad King stage show, which tells the story, just in case folks didn't know. The Mad King stage show tells the story of, among other things, the tourney at Harrenhal.
Right.
Some key backstory for Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be incredible. And there's like cool puppetry and
I mean, say no more.
George R. R. Martin went. They had a big press night. Ira Parker was there, et cetera, et cetera. So they're doing a 7-week run at Stratford-upon-Avon. That's what's happening right now. I probably won't get to see that, but it's supposed to be transferring to the West End. I could maybe see that, depending how long that takes.
Sure.
And then it's supposed to tour in the US. And that's when you and I will definitely go and see it, I think. I'm manifesting it.
Absolutely. I mean, I do think we should see it in the United Kingdom.
Okay, let's go see it in the West End.
You're throwing it out
let's
there.
Go to Baltimore next week and then just like hop the pond.
Shorter flight from
to
the Eastern Seaboard.
on Avon.
Remember when we did the 2026? Is that what year this is? Is it 2026? Goodness gracious. 2026 hype draft with Rob and Sean and talked about going to Oxford. And Sean was like, Oxford?
Yeah. I get served that social clip a lot for some reason. And then he was like, you two are
Still
very
committed.
special people.
Still committed to getting to jolly old England together. We'll be there, god damn it.
Last but not least.
Yeah, tell me.
Tyler. Unclisby, I believe is how you pronounce your last name, Tyler. Your lovely wife, Katie, and all of your friends emailed Hobbits and Dragons independently.
The best.
To request a happy birthday message to Tyler.
Happy birthday, Tyler.
So Tyler, from Katie and all of your pals, happy birthday, Tyler.
Should we sing?
No.
Happy birthday. Happy name day, Tyler. Jeez, you've
happy
got
birthday,
great
Tyler.
pals.
Yeah, and thanks for listening and spreading the good word about House of R.
Love it.
That's it. Until more later. But that's it for now.
That's the podcast. We're done. Spoiler warning.
Yeah.
For today's Hot D Season 3 finale discussion. It's the same one as always. If it happened in this episode of television, we're going to talk about it. It's going to come up. We're going beat by beat. If it happened in this season, if it happened in this show ever in prior seasons, if it's ever happened in an episode of Game of Thrones television, it could come up today. Book nuggets sprinkled, throughout as context, as reference points.
Yeah.
Anything in the future of the text that will be discussed separately at the end of the podcast in a separate book spoiler look ahead section. You'll get a little warning before we get there.
On the tapestry after Helaena goes out the window.
That's right.
Goes in the book spoiler section.
There's a lot of open fabric there.
Yeah.
Season 4 fabric and beyond,
Who's going to take up the needle?
It's a great question.
We got a lot of emails from listeners being like, that's not needlepoint. Okay. It's something else.
I just think that
there's a needle, there's some thread.
In the year of Widows Bay and Ruth, it's all needlepoint. And it might be
that
wrong.
It might have been cross stitch. Unclear.
It might be wrong. But it's a broad term.
We're working on our art terminology and we support all of it.
Exactly. If you'd like to present us with a needlepoint we'll add it to the studio.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have a couple.
We have our crest. We do. We have the needlepoints at home. We have those at home. We haven't brought them to the studio, but we do have those. Should add them to the new home offices now that we have our shiny new setups.
We should.
Got to redo the entire room.
Yeah. It's a lot to think about.
It really is.
Should we get into the podcast? What do you think?
We asked Roddy if he was still prepared to die for his queens, and he said, can't fucking wait. It means it's time to pod. Let's get to the opening snapshot. Season 3, Episode 8. Where's the time gone, Joanna? My goodness, where's it gone? This was directed by Andrei Perec, who had previously directed Episode 6 of Season 2, and then this is co-written by showrunner and co-creator Ryan Condal, Aviva Miladze, and T. Mickle, who wrote the 5th episode of Season 2. Ryan has written or co-written more than we have time to list, quite a bit.
Correct.
For anyone who didn't watch
And
Talk
wrote on
the Thrones.
Wrote on Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
That's right.
And is George's either former or current assistant.
Yeah. That is correct. Overall impressions, Joanna, not only of this finale, but now that we've reached the end of Season 3 of Season 3.
Yeah, I would rank this season above Season 2 if we're doing a classic ranking. I would say Season 1's still my fave. It's hard to beat my guy Viserys. Patty was just so incredible.
Yeah.
But I thought this season was an improvement over some of the challenges of Season 2. And then there's a lot to like and talk about in this finale, but it wasn't my favorite finale of all time. But I think overall this season was like a real uptick for the show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed the finale. I thought it was very entertaining and engaging. I have certainly a couple questions and things we'll talk through on certain scenes, but overall I was very entertained and thought it was a good blend of the grand sweeping Tumbleton spectacle, but still rooted very much in character beats and character decisions, which is always the blend that we want in a battle episode. I enjoyed the season quite a bit overall. I agree. I think definitely we're on the upswing after Season 2, which again, Season 2 had episodes in it that like we loved.
Oh, yeah.
But overall on balance, start to finish, this season felt like more consistent. It had some incredible high points. Something like, I mean, the beginning of this season was really great. Just really, really great. Episodes 2 and 3 were, I thought, tremendous. I know you really loved 4, right? And that was when we started to get so much time with our beloved Greens. What a twist still.
I think 1 through 4, which is the screener pack that they send out initially for folks, for press and stuff like that, are just like among the strongest work that they've done. And then it's not like the entire back half was like not great. It's just sort of like that opening chunk was so good. I thought it was really interesting in the House of Dragons build. Condal said, and thank you again to Ryan for all of his generous time on the pod, but like
wonderful conversation.
Condal had said sort of like it could take some time for a TV show to basically like teach you how to make it.
Yep.
And he was like, I really feel like we hit our stride in Season 3. You know, like
the
whole production team just feels like they all know what they're doing. They're working as a well-oiled machine. And they're already sort of talking about like the 2-year process to Season 4, so it's like they feel like much sturdier this year, I think, than they have felt in previous years. You know, there were some like behind the scenes changes for people who are working on the show and stuff like that. And so I feel really confident about how this is all going to end. We'll talk in the spoiler section about like what's to come and some questions about, you know, maybe where it all ends. But I feel like Season 4 is going to be like a solid wrap up to this show.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about Season 4 as well. I'm sad that we only have 1 season left and 8 episodes left, but I would anticipate Season 4 being pretty riveting. And I think one thing in addition to the, number of key moments and key seismic events and just the dance of the dragons, the canon that we know await, which is obviously exciting and is something to look forward to. One of the things that this season made me feel really confident in it is, we talked about this a lot on Sunday with Chris, just like how much we all loved spending time with Larys and Aegon or Gwayne and Daeron and Ormund. The moments of surprising investments in characters that we weren't anticipating caring about quite that much have been one of the real pleasant surprises of this stretch of the series. And then, like, Rhaenyra, it's interesting to think that we we're so much more drawn to those other scenes because there's just a kind of, I think, frankly, like a charm, comedic aspect to it and some like surprise element. But the Rhaenyra descent that we watched across this season, we talked very much early in the season about how so many Thrones fans were like, okay, are we going to get the time to really understand what happens here in a way that we maybe didn't with Dany? And that has nothing to do with what comes in the future, just with what we're watching inside of these events. And I have found myself really riveted watching Rhaenyra's journey into where we find Rhaenyra in this finale, this despotic, desperate state, making these decisions. And so to have people in each side of the war who we care this much about and want to spend time with. And those moments that are really rooted in theme and character arc, knowing we're going to be able to pair that with Dragon War is pretty exciting and pretty cool. Obviously, it's always hard to wait a couple years for House of the Dragon to return. Great news. We get a Knight of Seven Kingdoms season 2 next year. We don't know when yet, but we're not that far away.
And we'll be in the UK next week for the Mad King
in the UK
play.
Before you know it. So, just being back, I'm feeling a lot of excitement about just being back in Westeros and feeling that rekindling.
I think it's a great time to be a Westerosi fan. And I think that, like, to your point, it's funny because, when I think about who gets to be fun this season versus not fun.
I know, yeah.
It's interesting, but I do think that, especially earlier in the season, I do think even Emma Darcy, who does have a really strong sense of comedic timing, got to be, like, fun.
Funniest moment of the season, I think, was absolutely not.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra versus
Episode 3 was just like a real
snighting
showcase for, like, all the flavors that Emma Darcy's capable of as Rhaenyra. So
just a tremendous performance.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. Bard/Classics Corner?
Hit me.
Okay. Got so many for this episode. I tried to be as particular as possible. A couple listeners, Calvin and Morgan, sent in this passage from Henry IV, Part 1, as it pertains to our guy Ormund, right? Came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, and his chin new reaped, showed like a stubble land at harvest home. He was perfumed like a milliner.
There you go.
And twixt his finger and his thumb he held a pouncet box, which ever and anon he gave his nose and took tway again. And as the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he called them untaught knaves, unmannerly, to bring a slovenly, unhandsome corpse betwixt the wind and his nobility.
Love it.
A perfumed lord who's like, these corpses smell bad and are getting in the way of my enjoyment.
The instant hit of the perfume bauble from Ormond after discovering Ulf, just wonderful stuff. Sensational.
A number of listeners sent in this line from Macbeth, unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty, make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse. Lady Macbeth, unsex me here, very Rhaenyra. A lot of behind the scenes conversations have been about sort of Rhaenyra at war with her gender this season and sort of this decision to take on this masculine or at least asexual aspect with the armor here at the end. Have you seen any of the theories floating around? It hasn't been confirmed by the show, but have you seen any of the theories floating around that this might be Visenya's armor? I feel like they would have said if it had been, but it's just sort of like, we saw Aegon in the Conqueror's armor.
Yeah.
And would this set of armor be laying around waiting for Rhaenyra, or would they have to repurpose something that existed already? Do you know what I mean? And would Visenya's
I think that would be great. It feels to me unlikely that the show would not have.
That's what I'm saying. They would have said it.
That's what they were doing, given the number of direct or indirect allusions to or references to Visenya over the years. But that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be, and obviously quite alarming.
King John, from our listener William, about how it's too late for anyone to make peace in this dragon war. The Dauphin says, your breath first kindled the dead coal of wars between this chastised kingdom and myself, and brought it in matter that should feed this fire, and now 'tis far too huge to be blown out with that same weak wind which enkindled it. So for Corlys to be like, hey, can we solve this with a marriage pact or perhaps slightly redrawing the borders?
Yeah.
And Daemon's like, nope.
Yep.
It's Dragon War, baby.
Yep.
Our listener, Aiden, who sort of started Bard Corner, wrote in with something from Oedipus, right? I liked this description. Aiden says, obviously everyone knows Oedipus is the guy who fucks his mom. But Sophocles' play is about more than that. It's about an incredibly powerful man, a king in fact, who devotes every inch of his power to avoiding his own fate. And yet every action he takes only brings him closer to his inevitable ruin. And among other things, his mommy's cunt. I'm quoting this email. Okay. Rhaenyra had a similar arc to Oedipus the King this season, and so tonight I'll leave you with his final lines of the play as translated by Robert Fagles, which I can just imagine Roddy the Ruin screaming with delight as he and Ormond burn. People of Thebes, my countrymen, look on Oedipus. He solved the famous riddle with his brilliance. He rose to power, a man beyond all power. Who could behold his greatness without envy? Now what a black sea of terror has overwhelmed him. Now as we keep our watch and wait the final day, count no man happy till he dies free of pain at last. I like this idea of Rhaenyra as someone, a classic Greek self-fulfilling prophecy sort of thing of Rhaenyra just every move she makes this season brings her inevitably closer to. We talked about this a lot with Nolan, this idea of being the architect of your own destruction. And as much as I'm happy to blame Alicent for the plan of let's declare Aegon dead, had Rhaenyra not declared Aegon dead, then he would not be experiencing this, quote, miracle resurrection moment inside of,
She made him the chosen one.
She made him the chosen one. And all of her other decisions that she made, she was trying to avoid being named a tyrant or, all these other things. Every step she took to avoid where she landed screaming about the prophecy in a suit of armor and the Septon's blood on her hands in this finale. I just love thinking about going back and rewatching this season and watching every step take her closer and closer to this sort of inevitable spot.
Yeah, I think this is one of George's favorite things. Sometimes literally when an awareness of a prophecy or a dream or a vision is in play, but just more broadly with, the choice and consequence aspect. There's something, to discuss when we get to Helaena later that I think is really interesting about free will specifically through the lens of a dreamer who does actually have access to something that she's trying to understand. But for a character who is desperate to get that clarity like Rhaenyra is and seeking it everywhere and carrying burdens and moving constantly toward, that line in this episode, the fucking Viserys, he put me here. There's so much I'm excited to hit as we go through some of the scenes today. I was really struck, Rhaenyra as a character always a very precise language and tone. And so when there's any kind of shift in the carriage scene with the litter scene with Joffrey, the real flat delivery and tone of voice, very notable. But in the scenes with High Septon, Baela in particular, there's a lot of, I think deliberately from the writers of the episode, passive voice, blame casting other people. And so where is their culpability, even as to your point, there is an active hand and it is your own marching you toward this place.
And what I love about this is you and I agree that it's quite blurry here. When she says, hey, it's Corlys's fault he was out there in the field, you and I are And when she's hey, it's Viserys' fault that I wasn't set up for success here. Pretty much agree.
No question.
But are there other active decisions that Rhaenyra is making that she needs to own? Absolutely.
It's all true. Everyone's fucking up all the time in House of the Dragon.
Last but not least, this comes from Fia. It's Sabin, right? I feel like I always mispronounce her last name. I looked it up. I believe it's Sabin.
Like Nick Saban? Champions never sleep?
Sometimes I want to say Saban, but I think it's Sabin. Fia Sabin. Helaena herself. In an interview with The Wrap, said that Helena's line about life being nothing more than being not dead comes from George Bernard Shaw's St. Joan, the play St. Joan. Quote, Fia's interview from The Wrap, Joan gives this incredible speech to people imprisoning her when she says, quote, you think life is not being stone dead, but there is more to life because I might as well be not alive if I can't hear the church bells and the lambs and the wind and the trees. And that's what living is to me. And Fia went on to talk about how being robbed of the connection to nature is disconnecting Helaena from her religion and without her connection to her religion. And again, Alys and Helaena would make quite a pair, these naturalistic witches. Without that connection to her idea of spirituality, she's dying anyway.
Right.
And when we first see her in this episode and she's gray, essentially, it's just devastating. And that is Bard/Classics Corner from our incredible listeners. We got a really beautiful email from a listener, Will, who was just talking about how much he enjoys thinking about these stories across various just to think about the themes that Shakespeare was chasing and the themes that George is chasing and the themes that Faulkner chases and the theme, all of these great thinkers and writers and how we revisit these same stories again and again, but how much we appreciate them by being able to look at them from all these different voices. And I say yes. Thank you to our listeners. You guys really enhanced this whole experience for me. So
shout out the bad babies now and always. All right. It's time for the deep dive. Let's head to the bowels of the pleasure den. Okay. We are mostly going to go chronologically today. Every so often there will be a little bit that's pulled up or down, depending. But gotta note, the opening credits this week, obviously Tapestry's on our mind. The addition of Aegon and Sunfyre was fucking sick.
And the fire on the tapestry.
Oh my God.
I thought
His
it was
burns.
Yeah.
Like, that just looked amazing.
I thought it was really cool to compare, to think about that and then think about the watery waves of the thread that opened the season when we were coming off of the gullet. Also, correct me if I'm wrong. So the Rhaenyra and her coterie, which took up a lot of the opening credits this season, of just sort of like Rhaenyra flanked on either side by her court, let's say, backed by a golden dragon, right?
Yeah.
And then when we see Aegon on the tapestry in this fiery thing, it's a red dragon.
Well, I thought that was just Sunfire's pink membranes, the pink wing membranes, but it was
but
also the burns.
Putting that aside,
yeah.
What do you think of the golden dragon being behind Rhaenyra?
I think it's just supposed to be Syrax.
Okay,
who's golden? You think it's more than that?
I don't know. I mean, Syrax is not golden. Syrax is yellowish. I guess we have to get kind of simplistic in our tapestry work.
I think it's Syrax, but
sometimes a dragon is just a dragon, Joanna.
You know, at the end of the day, when there are so many different colors and the dragon designs are so unique, there's similar colors for the two dragons associated with the two characters seeking to rule, though obviously there are other characters seeking to rule too. Sunfyre looked sick on the tapestry.
Oh yeah, I mean that looked great.
Very cool. Will the tapestry continue in season 4 without Helaena? Maybe not.
I mean, woe betide if they go back to sort of the blood.
You know what?
Sort of churning through the.
That was on my mind again, given the image of all the blood
coming down from Rhaenyra,
and the tapestry at the end of the episode. It is back to that kind of like the bloody rot of this family.
I still don't. Ryan Condell, email us. He doesn't have our email. I still don't have a better answer for what is on the tapestry than the one we presented to Ryan. So I don't know what to say about that.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
I keep looking at it saying to myself, what am I missing? I will say this. So it's Rhaenyra on the throne. This is what she looks like, when she unfurls part of Helena's tapestry. It's Rhaenyra on the throne. It's flames and dragons and hands reaching out behind her. So like carnage, the war, the dance behind her. Red thread coming down from her head and all of her onto the ground. So is it cuts from the thrones? That was my guess. But also sort of laced in bodice fashion across. So then is it more like thread? So then is it more like puppetry? Almost like, are you like, hey, Joanna, stop overthinking tapestries? Maybe, but like,
no,
but like
me asking you that? Certainly not.
But like Rhaenyra as a puppet of fate, or Rhaenyra as the puppet master of the dance.
Yeah.
Or it's just blood. I don't know.
I think it's all in the mix. Certainly, I think the question of responsibility and culpability and how much of this is driven by the decisions that the characters right now in the dance are making, and how much of this is some sort of inevitable aspect of Viserys' warnings of dragon rider hubris and dragon war and the kind of inherent rot in the Targaryen line and what they seek to do and maintain. There was I was going to hit this when we got to the scene later, but because we're talking about it now, like there was a really interesting in House That Dragons Built glimpse of like the prop, right?
Yeah.
Of the tapestry that they made for the show. And it's worth people going to look if they're interested in seeing all the different, there's like some blood and cheese stuff. There's a ton of aim and eye imagery across it. There's a lot of Harrenhal stuff, the goat, the owl, the noose, harrowing, given obviously what we learned from Alys in this episode. But there's also another ruler on the throne with similar imagery. Is that supposed to be Aegon? Like the idea that there's blame all around and shared?
Well, okay, I need to go look at it again. I saw what you were talking about.
And they didn't put that in the episode, to be clear. So like
green. I was almost thinking it was Ares. Because it's like, to me, it looks like the ruler is engulfed in flame, but it would have been green flame probably if it were the Mad King Ares, like a burn them all sort of moment.
When I first saw it, my first thought was that it looked like Maegor. But then almost everything in that tapestry that they show is like this.
From the show.
I understand
so
then
that,
it was like, all right, well, interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll get back to that at the end. Let's start where the episode begins. Rhaenyra learning about Aegon and Sunfyre. So not everyone is as thrilled as we are about sweet Sunfyre's return. Orwila shares this news. Rhaenyra is hyperventilating, grasping her chest, sharing this report with Daemon, seeking him out as he's getting fitted in his armor for Tumbleton. He is risen. The small folk name it a sign from the gods that Aegon is ordained to rule, that he and his dragon have been resurrected to claim the throne. Fascinating language given, again, that this was, Sunfyre has risen, but the lie from Rhaenyra. Like, Rhaenyra knows Aegon is dead, so the language and word choice here are fascinating. Obviously, a lot of this prophetic language and the symbols and signs and portents and signs that the realm is going to see in this. Aegon's status being known. Big book change, as we have noted previously, but interesting to just have this definitively confirmed that everyone knows Aegon's back.
And you called this. You were like, there's no way he burned every single moon. No possible way.
There were some scurrying figures in the back, so this is a fascinating place to be. It's
I thought,
different.
No, Aegon would be thorough, but
actually, he's always on top of his shit, that guy.
But, it behooves him to have this message out there, so.
It sure does. So, as you said, there's the Alicent aspect of kind of having planted this, just tell them Aegon's dead seed. But the Rhaenyra, like, hoisted in a double capacity here by her own dragon petard and symbolic petard is really rich. She is the one who positioned with first sea smoke and then, of course, the full sowing, the idea of the dragon raising the army of the seeds as a sign of her worthiness to rule. She told people Aegon was dead. The other thing, the show's choice to pretend Sunfyre was dead for this long or have people think Sunfyre was dead for this long pays off here because it is this rebirth and resurrection versus like our dude was hurt and hanging out and like eating on the ground before he healed enough to fly. Wouldn't have quite had the same effect. Understand this choice more fully here.
What do you think Baela and or Daemon and or anyone else could have done to make sure that like go check his dragon pulse? Like what would have been more thorough? Should they just have burned sweet Sunfyre?
I guess there's the case that maybe you don't leave an entire intact dragon there if you want to be absolutely sure. But that's
should they have noted that Alys was decomposing and Sunfyre wasn't?
Well, but was the decomposition aided by the painful memory chopping off Alys' head? That struck me more as just again Rhaenyra looking to blame everybody else around her for everything. No,
I understand that, but I'm just curious. I'm just like. It's like when someone seems like they're dead and you're like, just shoot them in the head just to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, would I just like driven a stake into the heart
of
Sunfyre
or something? Yeah. Maybe. I'm glad that didn't happen. Sweet Sunfyre here to wow us. The realm is buzzing. What I was thinking of is that moment that Larys and Aegon shared earlier in the season when Aegon was very anxious, obviously, and Larys said, anonymity is a boon. He was like, chill, my guy. Your eventual resurrection becomes the stuff of song and legend. It will ensure that your eventual resurrection becomes the stuff of song and legend. So Rhaenyra's choices and actions allowing that basically like calm down and stop being so difficult line from Larys to become prophecy of a different sort, just delicious.
We didn't get any Larys in this finale. And what I would have loved if Larys, fulfilling his promise to sing the songs of Aegon had been partially responsible for the spread of this messaging of like, isn't he is reborn? Right. He is risen,
Maybe he's doing it in the shadows and we'll find out later that he's been working really hard.
One can only hope.
The other thing about just the Aegon lie now in hindsight, we talk about this a lot with just assessing things people do in real life, things people do in television shows, movies, books, whatever. Don't tell a lie that can definitely be disproven.
She was trying all season to get them to find Aegon, find Aemon, find Vhagar, find Sun.
Just like, you made yourself a liar too. You made him the chosen one and you made yourself clearly a liar and stuff.
She was trying to get them and they were like, that's not the priority. And she's like, actually think it is. And she was right.
Well, she was right about a lot, but
she's wrong about a lot.
Wrong about a lot in this one.
Yeah.
Daemon tries to soothe her here. Says, the lesser gods, don't worry, they have no say in this. we're the blood of old Velaryon. Not sure if you've heard this before. We have absolute power. He's playing all the hits, right? And none of this has anything to do, I'm sure, with Rhaenyra deciding to charge into the Great Sept and demand at sword point that the High Septon anoint her and then have him killed when he doesn't. I'm sure none of these little seed plants from Daemon all season long about the lesser gods and the superiority of the guy who said in the 3rd episode of this season, I style us gods, Rhaenyra. Sure, that had nothing to do with this.
For me, it's the moment he calls her princess. I'm like,
the High Septon, yeah,
toast.
that was
you're toast.
That was a rough one.
You're toast.
That was a rough one.
It's over.
You know, all the Septons and Septos around him were like, my guy, call me.
No!
Like, we're on your side, but please, please, please. I like from Daemon getting, we're going to get such an incredibly rich Daemon Ormund comp later with Ulf. We've tracked all season the way that Ormund talks about the high
rich,
towers.
Or is it just sort of like
it's rich in stench?
Oh yes,
the superior man idea from Ormond about the high towers, and of course Daemon's version of this hubris, the might is right,
Christopher Nolan again.
Fallacy. Indeed. All right, Joe, what did you make of Rhaenyra's curse of Viserys here? Fucking Viserys, paired, if you want to hit this here as well, with what she says later to Helaena about Viserys' philosophy being the realm's undoing and confronting that at last.
I just thought it was really interesting first of all, I was really grateful to hear it because I do love Viserys. But again, as the show knows, a lot of this is at Viserys' feet.
Yeah.
A lot of it says Otto's beheaded feet too, but like I miss
them both.
For her to say, my father Viserys the Peaceful, I thought that was a really interesting moment of branding on the steps of the Sept there.
Especially because that was auto branding. And she adopts a couple Hightower propaganda lines here. She uses their house words.
Oh,
she
yeah.
uses Otto's moniker.
I like the way she says.
Great stuff. Got to co-opt the message if
what
you're
I
down.
do love about Rhaenyra is that she's learning the power of branding. That's what she learned in this episode.
I mean,
she's like, Ormond, I get it. You need a fit. You need some eye makeup. I have a Daeron the Daring. Roll over Daeron the Daring. Prince that was promised in a language they don't understand. That's who I am,
The fit that Rhaenyra debuted in this episode, people are walking around immediately with the t-shirts with like the multiple Rhaenyras. No question.
Yeah.
And by people, I mean us.
Yeah.
Has anyone made that shirt yet?
Yeah. The optics are scary.
Yes. But
they are strong in a way that like here, and a rutabaga for you and a rutabaga for you was not. Okay.
Yes.
I thought this was really good. Viserys' philosophy is the realm's undoing. I mean, I don't know. What I love about the show is I could see it going a number of ways. I think if Viserys had better valued this idea of dragon power, then and made it clearer the line of succession and not let Otto and Alicent and all these other things get in the way of what was going on here, we would not be at war here. But in general, I agree with you. Your favorite thing is to say like, hey, was Viserys right about the fact that we can't control dragons? Yes.
I think for finding Rhaenyra in this place is so fascinating because I agree with you. I felt even as we were watching this deeply troubling descent for Rhaenyra, a character we have rooted for so long in this episode and steadily across, we're building methodically toward this point. I also felt very heartened to like see Rhaenyra push to the side and retire this I thought, frankly, very baffling notion.
What would my father do? What would my father do?
Like, it's just, I understand why the character was there, but never felt like the way Rhaenyra, other than the desperation to seek the legitimacy through the connection to his having chosen her, the crown, etc. One of the things that we want for characters we're invested in for Rhaenyra is like, what is your view? And so to see Rhaenyra shift from Viserys to just Daemon is so dismaying. And you understand why the character has wound up in this place, but it hurts us. It hurts us to see. And then I do wonder and I worry, can you hold on, even if you don't agree completely, to what fueled those words of caution if you have arrived at a moment of actively rejecting his mode of operation? Like, is Rhaenyra in a place where there's room for that kind of nuance? It doesn't feel like it.
I think what's also true, and this is what Alicent said earlier in the season, is just sort of like the way that Viserys operated came from the privilege of being, the chosen male heir to the throne. And that is just not something that was ever available to Rhaenyra. Aegon could do the rock bottom least
I mean,
with some strong courtiers around him and not under nearly as much scrutiny as Rhaenyra was when she was trying her damnedest to please everyone and disappointing everyone at the same time.
No question. And even something about the he put me here language also, it made me think of something I can't remember if this was last week or the week before, but recently on one of the pods, noting and we had a beautiful email about this, the characters who find themselves in this place where they're like, was this even what I wanted?
Yeah.
And we don't want Rhaenyra to say, I don't want this. It could be Aegon's. That's not where we are with it. But this question more broadly for Rhaenyra, for Alicent, for Aegon, for any of them, of where they have wound up and what connection there is to the thing that they actually desire. And then you pan back even a step further. It makes me think of Alicent, that really great Alicent auto fight back in the day of our hearts are never split. How would I even know?
Yeah.
Was this not what you wanted? How would I even know? And the idea that Rhaenyra, a character when she was younger who was so... Now, even this, though, was formed from all my father does is talk about the male heir he wants. So then Rhaenyra is in a position of reacting to that by saying, I just want to fly on my dragon and eat cake. You don't exist in a vacuum in life, right? But it is so interesting to think about the character's history in that respect and their evolution. And you get to this place of making choices where you do everything through the lens of needing to hold on to this thing. And it's you might think it's your inherited birthright and also the thing that you definitely deserve more than this piece of shit. But is it the thing you want? And does everybody have to pay as a result? That you could ask that question of a number of different characters. Daemon, certainly. Part of what makes the Dance of the Dragon so interesting and tragic.
But Daemon does desperately want the throne. I
mean, thinking back to one of the earliest images that we got in this series of just Daemon looking at the throne, sitting in the throne. It was all there just from the word go.
On the throne.
Speaking of Viserys, actually, he was on my mind again in this stretch because when Daemon says to Rhaenyra, this is your test, right? The realm only recognizes strength. Is Daemon right overall about how they should conduct themselves? Maybe, maybe not. Reasonable minds can disagree. The fact that the realm is looking for strength and that Rhaenyra as a queen is going to have a harder time displaying it, that's undeniable. The reason that this made me think of Viserys is because of that conversation he and Lionel had, not the iconic, fabled, this is the stuff, but actually in the episode prior, in the 5th episode of season 1 called We Light the Way, the Crucible conversation. There's a part of me that wishes I'd been tested. I often think that in the Crucible, I might have been forged a different man. And Lionel responded by saying, many that are tested only wish to have been spared. So how do you respond to the test? But also, do you want the test? Do you actually want it? The fact that Viserys was if only I had gotten the opportunity to prove myself. This is what that Crucible looks like.
I think what's fundamentally tough about trying to determine who knows the right way to rule Westeros is we have trouble understanding what it means to be a monarch. You know what I mean? We who have grown up in a semblance of a democracy. And so this idea of what's the right way? Is it giving out food to all the people or is it with an iron fist? And this Machiavellian idea of fear versus love, right? Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is safer to be feared than loved. But Machiavelli was you should try to be both.
Yeah.
Be feared and be loved. But Rhaenyra is just they will not love me no matter what I do. I keep trying to please everyone. And I took the money from the nobles and I'm trying to please them and they don't give a shit about me. And all they want is this fucking Aegon who sucks actually.
Terrible.
And that's all they want. Yeah. So they'll fear me instead and that will be effective. But when I'm watching her administration at work, my instinct is to be yes, let's feed the hungry. Let's do all these things.
Sure,
but it's just sort of not how the system of government works in Westeros. And it's certainly not how it works in the midst of a civil war, when you need to have this iron fist. So it's really, I feel sometimes you can watch, The West Wing or something like that, where it's how to run a democracy and you're oh, that's the right way, that's the wrong way. But watching a monarchy in the midst of a civil war, I'm just sort of all of us are saying Rhaenyra's making the wrong choices. And I'm I agree, but what are the right choices?
Totally. It's one of the things about, watching, and obviously this was true in the original Game of Thrones days, the Song of Ice and Fire days. It's you find yourself, I remember this feeling regularly podcasting about Game of Thrones the first time around, saying things and it's I don't. That's not what
she should crush them all. Wait,
yeah,
what?
yeah. And the number of times this season and like early when you should have killed Daeron, you should have. It's like, well, you find yourself trying to analyze it through the lens of these characters in this context, which is like the Machiavelli quote is so interesting because it makes me think of other Viserys, the like who can rule without love or fear, but then Dany building toward the horror of let it be fear.
Right, because she wanted to be a beloved,
and then when you feel the
thinking of her
absence of that.
Thinking of her at Winterfell talking to Sansa and like trying to mend fences or whatever, and Sansa being Sansa and that like that memed fake smile from Dany. But she's just trying. She's like, I want to show up and I want to be a breaker of chains and I want to like, have a better administration than Bobby B and Queen Cersei and all the rest.
And they can't wait to give it to this other guy instead. That said, Jon, better than Aegon. Other Aegon, better than this Aegon. They're all named fucking Aegon. Rhaenyra steadies herself. Mm-hmm. All right. Daemon's philosophy won the day. Let's have Hugh.
I'm going to ask a Mallory question.
Yeah.
How hard do you think Daemon was when she was like,
oh my God. Well,
do a war.
The fact that, we get some quick instructions out of the way, right? Have Hugh go to the stand guard at the Dragon Pit. We're going to watch for Aegon. You continue with the Tumbleton plans and then the leaning in, the sexy, flirtatious, like eyes up delivery from Rhaenyra, the realm is watching, do not make a monster to me. And then the musk and like the rasp in Daemon's voice. It will be my great pleasure, your grace. Pretending for just a few more moments that they're not going to kill everyone really makes these two want to fuck. Mega horny moment between the two of them.
Mega horny, but also like it reminded me of Daemon and Viserys, and it's just sort of like this is all he kind of ever wanted to be for Viserys to a certain degree, where he was just sort of like, let me go.
Why won't you? Why'd you pick this guy as your hand? What about me?
Totally. Let me do battle for you.
Send me out to kill
you up. Like let me do it.
Prop you up, indeed.
And then later he's like, whoops.
Yeah, sure is.
Whoops.
Through his concussion. Whoops. Rhaenyra vows to kill Aegon herself. Yeah. Later, he will talk about putting her head on a spike. We have an email about this, Joanna.
Well, on the fear and love front, I think our listener Holly wrote in about Robespierre, the French Revolution. How Robespierre was someone who had all these ideals about what the revolution should be. But this is Holly wrote, he was such a good, just, educated man who truly believed in Enlightenment ideals, but what he said to justify the reign of terror was this, quote, the whole development of our theory would end here if you had only to pilot the vessel of the Republic through calm waters. But the tempest roars and the revolution imposes on you another task. End quote. He thought the end justified the means. To get a just society, we're going to chop people's heads off. So like this idea of like, Rhaenyra's like, I have an idea of what the realm can be if everyone just agrees that I'm in charge. Right. But first, we're going to have to burn a bunch of people, I guess. And that's, this is the guillotine. Her guillotine's a dragon. So here we are.
Sure is. Yeah. Waiting in the hallway. Baela, who has, like us, seen a number of very tense and fraught corridor exchanges across the season, thinks, I'll just Rhaenyra,
I'll join in. Pretty sure new wig on Baela looked great.
Interesting. Baela would like to know if Rhaenyra has a plan to rescue Corlys from Tumbleton, where he is being held hostage and prisoner. Mm-hmm. And this is where some of that like blame casting passive voice popped from Rhaenyra here. Sunfyre was allowed to live. My enemies have been allowed to muster their strength later with the High Septon. You will not deny me. Who is denying Rhaenyra? Who is blocking Rhaenyra? Tells Baela here, Corlys made his choice. Now, I think like you said before, we did have that not wrong reaction. I think it's also true that Rhaenyra can't pretend that the Adam Alyn decision was not going to sit poorly with Corlys. But we're past the stage of being able to parse those subtleties with those characters. Baela tells Rhaenyra that Corlys' abduction was her fault. Says to Rhaenyra's face, you use those who serve you as tools, which is what we heard Baela say to Adam last episode. It's how Ormund oriented his recruitment pitch to Ulf, this idea that everybody's a tool to Rhaenyra. And then says, and this was like a whoa moment. Yeah, but you can't cast me aside because you need my dragon. Incredible stuff from Baela. Right. Calling out a true thing there, right? The dragon math, it's on everyone's mind. And then Rhaenyra reached out and grabbed Baela's face, grabbed her jaw, grabbed her chin.
Gasped.
I gasped too. I was genuinely shocked by that because there's like the violence of it, but there's also just the depth of this rift between, we've got this Ulf, a stranger, a recent recruit that was all mishandled, but like, you don't know him. Baela's family. Like, this is Daemon's kid. This is your stepdaughter. For Baela to say these things to you, it signals something about where we are. And some other things.
Niece,
and some other
your
things with
would-be
Targaryens.
daughter-in-law.
Indeed, all of the above. And also just this entitlement from Rhaenyra that everybody is hers.
I thought it was really interesting. She calls her, insolent child. I should not blame you for it. Truly, insolence runs in your blood, as your sister has lately reminded us. I thought that was really interesting because, of course, as we just outlined, the family tree is a snarled mess. So when she says it runs in your blood, is she talking about Velaryon blood? Like, that's what it seemed like to me. And then, we get into like the aspect of the show that I'm not sure the show is always directly grappling with, but is nonetheless subtext here, which is racial.
Yeah.
Right? If she's saying it runs in your blood, I mean, a lot of what Baela has is Daemon's blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it is Targaryen blood, but there's this Velaryon blood in there. And if that's what she's saying, like, when we're evoking Corlys, when we're thinking about Rhaena, when we're thinking about Baela, like that use of the word insolent.
No question.
Which is just so close to sort of like upjumped, which is just so close to a lot of other things that I just think, I don't know how intentionally the show is interacting with that, but I think we can't ignore the optics of who Rhaenyra is saying certain things to, I would say.
For sure. Dragon Rider discontent has to be on our minds in this episode.
Well, and especially then for her to whisper to Alyn later, like when she's like, insolence runs in your blood, Baela, but later to Alyn, you've got the blood of old Valyria in you. You know what I mean? Like, this blood doesn't serve me when it doesn't serve me, but it does when it does,
Well, and in general, that is how Rhaenyra is conducting herself. Like, what do I need from you in this moment, and how can I achieve that end? Speaking of Alyn, takes command of the Velaryon men. They're finally here in King's Landing. Some astonishing accents.
I don't understand. Where are they from?
Literally like 5 feet away.
Do you think Corlys, like, these are meant, maybe this guy, because it's just this one guy. Yeah. Maybe this is like a guy that Corlys like picked up on his adventures. And he's like, come work, with me.
Yeah.
From
sure
across the narrow sea somewhere.
That's from one of the voyages. That's
my best guess. Otherwise, I don't get it.
I've got no other ideas. So let's go with that.
Yeah.
They want to rescue Corlys, of course. And Alyn's like, what if we didn't? The queen needs us. Corlys knew the risks. He'd want us to focus on Velaryon honor.
Like,
and when they're like,
a Septon.
Who are you? Who are you? Why do you get to say this? He says that he is Corlys's eldest.
Mm-hmm.
His name's successor. Your once and future Lord of the Tides. By the way, this would be a handy time for Alyn to have grown out his signature hair.
Oh, we're waiting.
Yeah.
We're waiting for
Surprised that we're not at that point already.
I bumped hard on this.
Yeah, tell me. Yes, I mean, it's because it doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's obviously a T.H. White reference.
It's an Arthurian reference,
yes.
And Condell cited Arthur a lot when he was talking to us about Aegon, and in a lot of the behind the scenes, they've mentioned Arthurian ideas in this episode, in this season.
We talked about the Lady of the Lake, Alys language a couple episodes ago.
But the once and future king,
yes,
which is, we got an email about this, but I was already bumping really hard on this, right? But our listener Nick wrote in to say, my understanding of the once and future king term from the Legend of Arthur is that he was the king. He is not right now, since he is healing on Avalon, but he will return as the king in the future when Britain needs him most. Essentially, he was the king and will be again. Unless I missed something, Alyn is not now, nor has he ever been the Lord of the Tides. At best, he is a substitute hand, but he's not even legitimized. How could he fulfill the first half of the statement? Even if he will, blah, blah, blah. This would probably be one of the writer staff being too clever, but please help me. I don't, I have no explanation for this.
Maybe he's really leaning into the alternate history of having been embraced from day one.
Your once and future Lord of the Tides?
He was not the once. I don't know what to say about it. He wasn't. It's just, again, it's an episode really rooted in the idea of self-mythology.
Sure.
And building your own brand. So he's trying to do that.
The Ormond
but it doesn't
approach.
make sense. Always.
He went to Ormond school and he wasn't fully paying attention. That's okay.
this is where we're going to jump actually very quickly just to elsewhere in the episode to talk about the Alyn Adam scene while we're here with Alyn. Later, when Alyn is waiting to escort Rhaenyra to the Sept, Adam comes up and he's like, you know what's going on with Rhaenyra?
Yeah.
Like, this Aegon news has sent Rhaenyra down a dark path. That's what Adam says. And mentions specifically the treatment of Baela. And Adam is not moved by that at all. I thought that Alyn not caring about the Baela part of this seemed weird.
It's just an ongoing weirdness inside of this love triangle that they've created here.
Yeah.
I think if there were like one other scene between these two, between Adam learning that Baela and Alyn like got together, and then an Alyn and Adam scene where they talked about Baela. Yeah. So for Adam to bring up Baela and be like, do you not care that Baela is locked up? And Alyn to be like, I'm not engaging with this with you. Like, that would make more sense to me.
And then Adam would be like, I'm worthier of her love
than
you are.
Because I care that she's grounded, or we're bonded because we're dragon riders, or all these other things. But it's just like...
I think that thematically what ends up happening with Alyn and the High Septon works okay. And some of the...
I really like
some of the takeaways, like, work well.
It's deeply upsetting.
As we'll get to. Very, very.
Remember when he was like, missing, cats, they're fun.
I know. That was very recent. I am missing a couple Alyn scenes. Like that Adam Baela conversation for sure. And another Alyn Rhaenyra moment, I think, as well.
How does
Alyn...
The High
Septon scene.
We got a reaction shot, but like, what conversation has Alyn had about Lord Corlys is in Tumbleton? You know, like, how do I care about, what do I think about this finger gift that I received? Like, what should we do? You know, like the stifling, like the stoicism that he presents here, and just sort of this like stifling down of his humanity to execute on the queen's wishes.
Yeah,
is an interesting place to find him.
For sure.
I'll just agree with you. We're missing just like a few steps along the way.
We are, and I think it's like because Alyn in particular is so close to Rhaenyra as now this like really trusted right hand. We've talked about this in other contexts with other character sets. Like, we got such wonderful time with Ormund, Daeron, more than we would have expected with Gwayne, et cetera, and really benefited from that. We talked with Chris on Sunday about like not feeling like we got enough time with the River Lords or the Wolves for some of the Roddy and Alys stuff to land. Alyn is actually a character we've gotten a decent amount of time with, but we're so close to Rhaenyra where like the progression is so intentional and methodical, and we have gotten to bear witness to every step along Rhaenyra's journey. Now, Rhaenyra is the main character of the show, so there's not going to be an equivalent there for all the people around her. But I just felt a little jarred by the Alyn thing, and I don't know, it is weird. It's like the difference between does the outcome and ultimate place not make sense? That's not how I feel about it, but wanting to better understand how the character got to that headspace, because I think it's interesting to see, like in this Adam Alyn moment, an inversion of how, even just from what we glimpsed from them briefly in season 2, we know that they always thought about the desire, like the desire for more, the desire for Corlys, the desire for a different thing, so to hear Adam say a glorious ascent for a bastard and really cement the fact that this has flipped, that the thing Adam used to want is now the thing that Alyn has gotten a taste of and really relishes, which like we saw early in this season how delighted Adam was to be one of Rhaenyra's riders. So they've been moving in opposite directions, and that has been clearly mapped.
Yeah.
I like that part of it. To think that Alyn, who has not only those whispered, but in a later scene, a scene after this, that whispered Old Valyria, blood of Old Valyria line from Rhaenyra, and that like idea that this character who has wanted to be chosen by his father and wasn't has now been chosen in all of these different ways by Rhaenyra, that he is in this position.
Yeah.
What it tells us about like the proximity to power, the impact and the corrosive effect it has on all sorts of people in the realm, not just the person who seeks to sit on the Iron Throne or wear the crown. I like all that. Literally just missing like a scene or two to understand. It felt very rash to me for Alyn to be here. So,
I mean, once again, I would say almost all of his scenes this season, even his sex scene, and we mentioned this at the time, were just still about his dad, which like if him doing this because Rhaenyra offers to be his daddy in a way that his dad never was, like I get that, but I don't know. I'm still, missing some depth of the Alyn character.
Yeah. Ormund. also getting suited up for battle.
Mhm.
Reading some scrolls, classic Ormond, and watching Daeron gazing out the window as Tumbleton readies for war. Because he's Ormond, he badly misreads Daeron's expression. He's like, "It's all for you, my boy." That's classic. For you by my design because I'm a messy, manipulative bitch. Classic Ormond here. Really loved it.
Manipulative bitch.
He is. I'm gonna miss him so much.
Yeah, me too.
A king inspiring the masses to fight Joanna must be a knight.
What are you talking about?
This was insane and incredible. I really like this. Gwayne's face, Daeron's face, the looks of the past between them where they're like, Daeron's like, "Gwayne, jump in. Like, you do this instead. Jump in." And Gwayne, I loved the shot through the blade on Daeron's shoulder where Gwayne is just like so dismayed
I think
watching this.
A lot of really good perspective shots inside of this episode. A lot of really good shots where the camera was sitting just right over someone's shoulder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really, really good. Our listener Michael on this knighting ceremony, a sham of a knighting ceremony.
But beyond.
Says, interesting given the High Tower connection to the Seven that Daeron's knighting by Ormond was the first shown in the series that did not invoke the Seven in the traditional "in the name of the mother I charge you to." So just like further exposing the hypocrisy of Ormond who literally clothes himself in these images of the Seven and is just sort of like not using any of that language here in this farce of a knighting ceremony where he says, "You, this king that I've made, serve me your liege lord."
I thought that
so funny.
This was the decision not to use to the point of the email the more traditional and familiar knighting vow.
Yeah.
Was so perfect, as was what filled that space instead. It's not just that he's not doing the proper vow. This guy who has obviously no idea what it means to really be a knight in the way that we talk about with characters like Brienne or like a character like Raymond, who we just more recently got to watch this very emotional knighting ceremony with in A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And so we have this evolution in all the knighting scenes in this season. We got the Seeds knighting and the comedy of that with Adam and Hugh and Ulf earlier in the season. And this one felt so rooted in hypocrisy and just necessity, right? It's like, we got to do this thing. We have to keep thinking about the brand and the image, the way that Ormond says with this big smile, to the extent he's capable of a sincere emotion, pride on his face. Daeron the daring. And you just know, I feel like we know Daeron well enough at this point to know that he's like, I haven't earned this. I don't deserve it. And you definitely don't deserve to give it to me.
Would you say, I don't want it?
Don't want it. And then the fact that Ormond, the gall, this was such a great little detail and choice. Specifically invoking protecting the children as he is amassing
as we cut to the children. Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
The women
touch.
and the children.
Just so
good. Very good. But it's just funny because we're used, across Game of Thrones and Knight of the Seven Kingdom and even earlier this season. And, you put this together in a beautiful like cut that we got earlier this season. But like, we're so used to the rhythms of this knighting ceremony. And so to hear it outside the normal rhythm and just very overtly missing the Seven.
Yes. For the wrongness to be the point and for it to be so palpable and keen was just really, really great. I liked it quite a bit. Ulf the White.
Yeah.
Going full Ulf the Sot. Really earning that moniker. He's down in the Tumbleton kitchens.
What was your vibe of I felt like the people were not really enjoying his show that he was putting on here.
Oh, I thought he was like a little assaulty, a little grabby, a little handsy.
Oh, definitely assaulty.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like I didn't feel like people were like, yeah, this guy. Like,
no, the one guy who almost looked like a seed.
Yeah.
With the tarred hair. He was like, fuck off.
What the fuck?
Yeah, for sure. The cook was maybe the most into it, but even he was a skeptic.
So just like Ulf's, if we got Ulf's version of this, everyone was super into it. He was like, I was the belle of the fucking ball. I was the king of the party. But the reality is, even this is all he's dreamed of. Being able to drink around people of his own station, an initial station or whatever, and just sort of like being able to and thinking about going back to when we met him and how he was surrounded by people who like kind of loved his shit, and just like, now he's just cloaked in this delusion of, it's very Hugh talking to Kat being like, I got a dragon is not the coolest
She's
shit.
like, you smell like shit.
She's like, disgusting.
Yeah. Oh, I really love that point about the thinking back to the pub days with the lads, because while they found him, they were in on the shtick. So it was like part of
the ridiculous, but they genuinely liked him.
And it does kind of make you think back to Ulf going to Rhaenyra and appealing on their behalf as well. Like, just like a little keep and just some pardons and we'll be fine. Like looking out for the people he knows actually.
And he also, like, earlier this season, he
him?
wanted to be a Targaryen, right? How would you style yourself?
Targaryen.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But here in this speech, he's like, they're incestuous aliens, dunk.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like hitting the Targ racism here. And so
it was an interesting blend of attacking and insulting them.
Yeah.
Seeking to embarrass them. Queen of Bastards for Rhaenyra, mocking the Daemon-Rhaenyra marriage, both the short lead part and bitch in a kennel, but also the like uncle, lover, husband stuff. But then
That's
he's
my
like,
bit.
I
Ulf.
know. Come on. The incest jokes on the quote cards are ours.
Cite yourself.
The like Dragon Lord, styling himself Lord Ulf. He's like, you won't give me the thing I want in all sorts of respects. I'm going to fucking take it for myself. And Ormond's about to, of course, find that out as well in a very crispy fashion. I would like to ask if, I don't know, does Wig Watch TM with Joanna Robinson TM extend to faux hair on a helm or no?
That's either called a crest or a plume. I was trying to figure out like what the exact terminology for that was. I really liked it. You hated that. The helm.
I thought it was absolutely perfect for Ulf.
It looks so stupid.
Ulf the White, and it's like, here it is, the Targ hair that I don't actually have.
Right. Like, Hugh has Targaryen hair. Ulf does not, but he is like, affixed it via horsehair to the top of his helm.
Incredible.
I think it's great.
Great stuff.
And it's just like too big for his head. It's perfect.
It was gigantic and quite long. Seems very impractical to me for battle, but what do I know? What do I know?
Mysaria is fired. That's what you know.
That's what I know. Rhaenyra's gazing at the crown, Viserys' crown, at Viserys' Legos.
Gazing anymore. Her gazing days are over.
Boy, do you think that this means that I made the joke on Talk of Thrones, Mysaria bad lay?
Yeah.
But maybe it was actually like the sex was so good. Rhaenyra's like, I can't afford any distractions.
Yeah.
Get her out of here.
That's my preferred.
I'm focused. I'm focused on the crown.
I
know she is. She is. Alinda comes in and says, Helena's not eating. The maesters are worried. They're concerned about Helaena. They're concerned about the babe. Rhaenyra is going to deal with this in short order in a pretty disturbing way.
Alinda has to do so much bad news delivery in this episode.
I just think that Rhaenyra, it's not even... I put in the outline, having Alinda dump Mysaria and kick her out was the Westerosi equivalent of like dumping someone via text, but it's actually worse than that. It's like back in the day. Remember when we were younger?
And
people
still had landlines. Tell
exactly.
Rick, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of that person's name that I don't
tell
like
Evan,
him. Evan.
And we had landlines and we would always do the three-way call. So you'd like have someone else do your dirty work or like fish to see if someone had a crush on you, but everyone you knew the other person was like probably on the line listening. Yeah, wild stuff. Rhaenyra's very chill here, as always, when asking Alinda before the Mysaria aspect of this to summon Alyn for the escort to the Sept. There will be no doubt who the gods have chosen to rule. Okay, everything's fine. And Mysaria, when Alinda goes to share this news, the Targaryen soldiers, they barge in. They've got packing crates. I mean... That's just rude. Like, let Alinda go in and tell her first. Hysterical, though, that Mysaria is in her beautiful silken gown putting on fancy jewelry.
Oh, she's putting on new earrings. She's like, I heard what Sylvie said, and I've decided to lean in.
I do not want to leave the White Lotus.
Finery. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I don't.
I will say this, and this was not book spoilers. This is just me feeling like, whatever. I feel really justified in my whole, like, Alinda as Mysaria's person more than Rhaenyra's person.
She's torn up here.
I had no spoilers for that, but it's just
no.
sort of like, now Mysaria is gone. Alinda feels really bad about it, and Alinda is still there in Rhaenyra's closest circle.
If I were Rhaenyra, I would be worried.
Rhaenyra's not paying attention. I would just like to read a little bit from season 3, episode 5. This is from the Oracle Alicent.
Yeah.
I simply urge you to think of yourself. There is good in Rhaenyra, but the crown is a weight that crushes. Rhaenyra will do in the end what she has to do, and what she has to do will be dire. There is only one who can walk that path with her, and she chose him long ago. Mysaria, she knows what Daemon is. And Alicent says, they have ever been two sides of a coin. As much as she may deny it, her attentions may be on you now that you bathe in the warm light of her gaze. But will you stake so high a wager on the whims of a dragon rider?
Alicent was right about a lot.
Rich words from the mouth of a high tower.
Truly.
But anyway,
Yep.
Alicent was right.
No room for
Obviously.
Mysaria as a counterweight to Daemon when you're all in on Daemon, when you are trying to just...
Well,
And no room for a non-dragon rider, honestly.
what Ryan was saying was if we think of them as like an angel and devil on her shoulder, if that's it's not that easy, but let's say it is.
Two devils.
Yeah. She's listening to Devil on the left now. So yeah, Devil on the right is not even like welcome in the building. She cannot even look at him, at her.
I think there's something too about the idea of, well, it feels...
Or her humanity.
Yes. And so somebody who not only is going to challenge and counter Daemon's worldview and philosophy, but someone who is appealing to something in Rhaenyra that Rhaenyra feels now that she has to stifle and quiet. And even just, then there's the more practical, kill the boy.
Kill the person.
Yeah, it's sad. Like,
when she calls her Rhaenyra.
Yes, the intimacy, the vulnerability. So there's a little bit of the, I maybe need to get someone who I know knows how to work me away from me, like a practical element, but also like someone who has seen me.
I don't want to look in this mirror anymore. Yeah, fair enough. She's like, you get to go to Pentos.
Where is the gold coming from for this?
Maybe she sold literally a gown.
The old Shay? Pentos temptation? That always goes well.
That's where the blonde babies are, by the way. We got a lot of emails asking where the blonde babies are. Rhaenyra and Daemon's children.
I am surprised to have zero updates at the end of the season on this. You warned me that was likely where we're heading, but I am surprised.
There are 2 blonde babies. Joffrey is awake.
I thought Joffrey's crown looked
got
awesome.
A little circlet on his head, looking great.
Look great.
But there are 2 other Sibs.
Yep.
They're blonde and they're off in Pentos, I guess.
Nobody seems to give a shit except me.
The Mermaid's Kiss.
That's right.
Which is the boat that she's going to depart on. Yada, 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 something Fire and Blood. I'm not going to get into it, but also the name of a ship in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Martell. Mermaid's Kiss. Is it the same ship? Who knows? But it is. It has its own Wikipedia page, the Mermaid's Kiss. So, an important boat.
A lot of boat stuff.
But she's not going on the boat, so it doesn't matter.
No. She, in a moment that I don't want to be reminded of season 1, episode 9, basically ever. And Mysaria later just like scooting off the wagon because there's a lot of shit going on in the city.
Yeah.
It did make me think of the way that Eric, your favorite character, and Rhaenys were just like kind of able to get where they needed to go.
She had a cloak. The hood was up.
Oh, man.
Something you need to ask yourself, are these cloaks of invisibility?
Oh, it's a great question. Interesting. Food for thought.
Something to think about.
HBO crossover event.
Imagine the merch possibility.
Oh my
you
God.
get a cloak of invisibility in the paisley that Mysaria is rocking.
Wow.
Why not?
Before Mysaria, perhaps with magical aid, vanishes among the people, she has to exit the Red Keep and she will pass Helaena. Because Helaena, you noted the kind of like gray pallor, the tears, this outdoor space, the godswood, the bugs, a place of prior
the
peace.
hair is not braided.
Devastation. Queen's Guard comes over. Got to take you back to your confinement. It's just all incredibly bleak and sad for a character we adore. And Helaena moves into the courtyard. They've done a really great job this season with sound design and just the little shift when Helaena entered the courtyard of the dreamy deja vu. Oh my God. Okay, there are people around. It's not exactly the same, but like, I just dreamed of this courtyard. There's the Pale Mare. Fuck, right? It gave me a little chill. The sense for Helaena.
The hour is near.
And for book readers, that the hour is drawing near. And then Mysaria walks down the steps, Joanna, and what does she say to Helaena?
Oh, she's like, do not trust the queen. Aegon has returned. His dragon lives. Your unborn child is a hostage. A prize by which she can hold power over your enemies. She will never release you. It's a lot to get out in a sort of brushing of shoulders moment. So good job, Mysaria.
Very efficient from Mysaria. Yeah. So Helaena just looks completely hopeless hearing this. Rhaenyra immediately, and I mean immediately, we're not even out of the fucking building, folks, bit in the ass by casting Mysaria aside. This question of how do you treat your people and what happens as a result.
For the last time? Probably not.
Big reap and sow episode for all of our characters. You mentioned our Talk the Thrones.
Yeah.
One of the things you loved about this in terms of a tie to the book. Do you want to share that with the deep dive listeners as well.
Well, so when Helaena dies in the book, similar mechanism out the window onto the spikes. Like, there is a lot of mystery surrounding her death. Did she jump? Was she pushed? And Mysaria is in many of the rumors, Mysaria is linked to Helena's death. So we were wondering early in the season, like, I thought when Mysaria had that housemaid killed who knew that she knew that Helaena was pregnant.
Yes.
And she's like, that one, kill her.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to elbow bump Helaena out the window because Helaena knew that she knew that Helaena was pregnant.
I thought it was entirely possible that we
so
were
I thought
there.
Mysaria might kick her out the window, but instead Mysaria, let's say, trying to help her, gives her this advice here. And if you want to use the Rhaenyra passive voice assigning blame thing, you could say that Mysaria's words whispered to Helaena are the reason Helaena goes out the window. I think there are a number of other, signs and portents and stuff like that. But connecting Mysaria to Helena's jump out the window is a fun fire and blood connection that I really enjoyed.
I pulled the whole passage and then realized that 80% of it doesn't apply to the show in terms of the other scenarios and characters that were mentioned. So no point in reading
Maybe
that
it could
part.
have been this that didn't exist.
Pretty funny, actually, to look at that.
Anything?
But the last sentence, the Mysaria one, Septon Eustace suggests that Lady Mysaria the White Worm chose this night to tell Helaena of the death of her son Maelor and the grisly manner of his passing. I think we could say that Helena's dead, like,
oh, yeah.
There is this other kid.
There's another kid, Maelor. This is what George lost his shit about in his blog post where he was like, because there's no Maelor, baby Maelor, Jaehaera and Jaehaerys's younger brother, Maelor, because he doesn't exist on the show, and then he dies horribly in the book.
Awful. I mean, on the list of all of the appalling deaths in Fire and Blood, that's high up there.
Baby ripped apart. Very bad. Okay? So, like,
grim.
Maelor dies at Bitterbridge. Yes. And because that doesn't happen in the show, George is like, how are they going to make Helaena jump out the window if Maelor doesn't exist? And in George's version of whatever version of the script he read, he was like, there's no reason for Helaena to take her own life without Maelor's death. And all of us watching this season are like, we've talked about this before in the spoiler section, but like,
we can put it on main now.
Yeah, we can. I don't know if they changed Helena's storyline after George had that reaction to it, and we're like, okay, we got to do some work this season to make it really clear why Helaena would go out the window. And I think every single person watching the season can be like, oh, I get why Helaena went out the window, like no question.
Yeah. Joanna, what was that blog post called?
Yeah. What was it called? Toxic butterflies? What is it?
Beware the butterflies. So hard not to think about that. I have no clue.
We did ask Ryan about this with like, I have to admit, some shit-eating grins on our faces when we asked him about this.
About the butterflies.
He did not take the bait, but like, that is definitely why we asked about the use of the butterflies in this episode, because I think there's no doubt in our minds. I'm sorry.
It feels like a Beware the Butterflies wink, but it is also symbolically rich in terms of the metamorphosis of,
There's no doubt in our minds that the reason that a bunch of butterflies take flight when Helaena dies is a nod to George's very, very saline rich blog post that he wrote about Helena's death.
Character arc handled devastatingly but well, ultimately. We had a lot of great time with
really, really good
this season. I'll miss her terribly.
We did get an email from someone who works on the show that the vision that Helaena has of her and two children in the future was supposed to be Maelor and Jaehaera. And so this idea of like, again, every vision of her future that she dreamed, whether it's like, I shall become a dragon rider, or I will take my own life out the window, or I will escape and raise my children, is just like a bad outcome no matter what.
Yeah.
And so in order to not become a dragon rider, in order to not lean into this corruptive power, or to not, choose a happy future for myself that so neglects sort of the cost that it would have for the realm.
Yeah.
I will take my own life and the life of my unborn babe at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, when we, again, like talked about the Dreamfire vision and this idea of thinking of the things Helaena has said last season and just over the episodes about, I don't want to burn anyone, not wanting to be a part of this thing that is this doom that is increasingly inescapable.
Yeah.
I think that Mysaria connection to the text and just the question of what Helaena hears there and this sense of an inescapability, of confinement, of no path to the life that she wants to lead, coupled with the doom that populates each glimpse of a life she could potentially lead or was not able to lead. That question of, like, for a dreamer, seeing something in the future or a number of different somethings in the future, and this sense, the way that Helaena has talked about other things in the future, that Helaena, we see the tapestry that Rhaenyra picks up at the end of the episode, Helaena has stitched in full her suicide. There's the question of, like, well, did Helaena accept that this was her fate, or did these other things push her? And I think the answer could be both.
Well, I think what's interesting about her dream is that there are options here.
Yeah.
Inside of her dream. There is, like, I could become a dragon rider, or I could escape and raise chickens, or I could take my, like, if she only dreamt of taking her own life out the window, if that's all she saw, one option, but that's not how she's ever described her dreams. It's just sort of like,
no. There's an
abstract
phrases quality.
And also just sort of like very Galadriel's mirror, like, might yet come to pass,
Yeah.
Like, it's not set in stone. It's not clear. And so in terms of, like, that idea of a free will of a dreamer, I think because she's dreaming of various paths forward, but all of them are bad.
Yes.
But, like, it introduces ad choice. None of the choices are good.
Yeah.
But there is a choice for her to make.
I think that this was handled pretty well with Helaena in this season to that point. I think that what Helaena said to Aemond last season wouldn't make any difference, positions us in more of a cemented your destiny is, like,
once again
place.
Kind of, I just think a very strange thing for the show to do.
Yeah, so I think we have updated the relationship and the role that choice plays, and also the things that happen to you, the influence that has on the way you see your future and the future that you seek or think you can forge. I thought pretty well crafted this season. Speaking of well crafted, we have an Alys Rivers backstory. Holy hell, my God, Aemon dreaming. Haunted again by Aegon screams, by his own cries for help, wakes up and has to confront the fact that his own mom, who he wants to fuck, poisoned him. I could continue to be very moved by Aemond this season. I think I might be in the minority here, honestly, but I thought the way that he, like, confronted what Alicent did to him was very, even though it was just a quick beat, very sad. Oh yeah, that was amazing. And Alys is like, yeah, your mom poisoned you. You're alone, but guess what? We can be alone together, and that's going to be pretty fucking hot. And Aemond's like, I'm a kinslayer. I'm cursed. You should get away from me. And I really like that Aemond has definitely heard my favorite line. No man is as accursed as the kinslayer. And also just want to remind everyone that he is still a kinslayer just because Aegon is alive. He killed Luke. He's a kinslayer no matter what.
Yeah.
Joanna, since Alys debuted in season 2, have shared a couple different times over the years and seasons this passage from Fire and Blood that we loved about Alys and the mystery of Alys, because this is part of, like, our relationship to the character, is not knowing exactly who she is and where she comes from. The castle's small folk became his captives as well, amongst them a wet nurse named Alys Rivers. Who was this woman? A serving wench who dabbled in potions and spells, says Munkin. A woods witch, claims Septon Eustace. A malign enchantress who bathed in the blood of virgins to preserve her youth. Mushroom would have us believe, classic Mushroom. So this is all new to us. And we get it with Alys away from Aemond.
Again, the perspective of the camera.
We're on her face, seeing what struck me at least as sincere emotion.
I thought so. I think it's interesting that, Ryan said to us in the interview that it's possible that Alys is making this up.
Yeah.
That's not how Gail Rankin performed it, I would say. It's possible that that's a thought that the writers have in their mind, but Gail Rankin certainly, I think, made a decision, or I don't know how many different takes they did or whatever, and maybe she did different performances of it, but this version that they chose for the final cut reads to me, especially since Aemond cannot see her face.
Yes, exactly.
And we can.
It was very sincere.
As a woman being very sincerely racked with the grief of the true story that she's telling.
What does she reveal? What is that true story?
Oh my God.
What is the true telling, to borrow a term from this fictional universe?
So Harrenhal was melted by some dragons. You might have heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Harrenhal was the Lord Harrenhal when that happened. And the implication here is that she was his lady wife and that she had a child who died. and that she tried to do everything that she could to undo that. And the bargains that she made had a cost. And the cost was she's cursed to live forever prisoner of Harrenhal or its surrounding areas. I guess she can go visit and kill some people if she needs to.
Unlike Helaena, she can go outside for as long as she wants.
So she mentions her title, that she lost her name and she lost her title and stuff like that. So she seems like she was the lady of
because there's a possibility for a second of, was she a mistress? But the lady.
Yeah. So she was the lady of Harrenhal, and
we knew that Harrenhal had sons, multiple sons.
Right.
Didn't know anything about the wife.
So this is fascinating as it pertains to, I don't know, we talked about this on Talk of the Thrones. I just love when magic has a cost. I was just reading this really fun duology of books that's based on Dramedy fan fiction, but by Bridget Knightley. But it's literally called your cost. Literally called your, like, when you use your powers, how it physically makes you ill. In that book is called Your Cost. And I just like always love that idea of the cost of doing magic, and especially this like very dark, nature defying, trying to resurrect someone sort of magic. And so I love this idea. I love when Ryan was talking to us about it and he was like, something we knew in season 2, something we were like, hey, Gail, don't say this in your press interviews. Perhaps after Gail in that Entertainment Weekly article was like, she's old. Real old.
Move over Melisandre.
Yeah, she's real old.
It was funny.
Our listener Liza wrote in with this email. It's titled, "So You're Telling Me You're a Mom." And Liza wrote, I have to assume this subject line was Aemon's primary thought when Alys spilled her heart and soul, sharing her history and origin story about her dear, crispy, dead son. The mommy saga continues. Notice Aemon finally introduces Alys as his, quote, betrothed to Aegon, much to the surprise of Alys, after hearing the witchy mama backstory.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, boy, that guy loves a mom.
And I mean, she said as much earlier this season when she was like, I'm a mother, was aggrieved, all these sort of things. So she hinted at this. I choose to believe that this is true, and I quite like it.
Same. I think it certainly further enriches. It's fun now to actually think back to like every prior Alys comment, but also moment, and just think about why she has done the things she's done, but also her relationship to this place, which like we have talked about a lot as very protective.
She's like, I used to be the lady.
Yeah, wanting to like have it and preserve it, and the fact that she understands it in a way that other people don't, and that's all true still, but also the idea that she is imprisoned here and bound to this place and this nature of life alone. It's a long time to be alone. The despair with which she said that.
What I like about what it recontextualizes is I was very much like, oh, Alys is like of the nature and old spirit. The Lorax speaks for the trees. And I'm like, actually, she's an aggrieved noblewoman.
Yeah.
Who was like, this was my house and I was in charge, and now I have to watch all these other chucklefucks come in and mismanage it. But it just reminds me of, to your point about Daemon or Ormund, like the entitlement of this is just sort of like,
totally,
she's been cursed. All of these things are true, but also there's just the indignity of how far down she's come from the heights of being
midwife, is
lady of Harrenhal.
Yeah, and to the nature point, the idea too that like something about your relationship would change, but not for the reasons you would have wanted it to. Like she does have this now sense of the ancient power of the place, as we've heard her talk about. But the fact, like the way that she describes, treated with things that lived in the forest.
I love that word, treated.
Me too. Also, that's like just now I have all this stuff running through my mind about like Alys going to the Isle of Faces. So that's fun to think about. Wonder if we'll learn more at any point. But, the idea that Alys's connection to that and understanding of it is richer for this horrible reason that watching her son nearly on the brink of death from dragon flame and trying to fend off this thing and seeking this magic that could not challenge the power of dragon flame, and then thinking about how Alys is seeking dragons of her own through that specific lens of her relationship to dragon power and dragon might and dragon terror is like so fascinating. I was thinking of that. There's the Jaime line in Feast. We've been talking, you flagged early this season, like the number of Feast for Crows moments. And this passage about Harrenhal. This castle has an ill repute and one that's well-deserved. It's said that Harren and his sons still walk the halls by night, of fire. Those who look upon them burst into flame. Many ghost stories about Harrenhal, but just the idea for the Song of Ice and Fire fans, like the horrible idea that Alys has spent a century inhabiting the same space as her son's ghosts. Like, she has mentioned ghosts many times, and it's kind of in a, I'm going to scare the would-be bounty hunter who's here and doesn't get this place, but to think about maybe the terror and the grip that that has had on her.
Oh, very Rhaenyra seeing Jace.
No question.
Walking around.
No question.
Yeah, and it goes back to, like, from the first, when we were talking about Harrenhal in our coverage of season 2 several years ago. And we were talking about the thematic way in which Harrenhal, across the various texts from George, has represented this sort of idea of grasping for power. Yep. The fact that it is described as sort of like a hand reaching to the heavens. And so, again, this idea of Alys as someone who had power, had feudal power, and has been brought low, and it was looking to grasp unnatural, put a stopper on death kind of power that does not belong to humans in this world, but also as a person who was looking to be restored to as the Queen of Harrenhal, the Lady of Harrenhal, and now she wants to do it with Aemond and some dragon babies.
I ship it.
I'm sure it'll go fine.
I ship it. Something that has not gone fine is the relationship between Rhaenyra and Helaena. Rhaenyra's back on her sister bullshit here with Helaena, trying to get her to eat. Helaena could not possibly be more ready for Rhaenyra in this moment. Here are some of the things she says to her. In response to think of the babe, you're thinking of him now, just calling Rhaenyra out as a once and future baby killer. That was Daemon. That was Daemon.
Once and future bitch.
I mean, Helaena would say that. I could see it.
I would wear a shirt that says once a future bitch.
Make it, bad babies. Put it on Etsy for us. You cannot think I would harm you, Rhaenyra says. And then that's when we get the great, do you think there's nothing more, do you think life is nothing more than not being dead? Our father would hate you for this.
Great.
And most devastatingly of all the things you care about are ugly. This place is ugly. You yourself. Ugly. Now,
Rhaenyra's like, wait till you see my new eye makeup, though. And you say that to me again when I'm wearing that.
It's a scroll stopper on Instagram when you see that eye makeup. It really is. The withering rebukes for Rhaenyra, like, it would be intense for anybody to say these things, but undeniably, there is something about Helaena, to borrow Alison's phrasing, the gentlest right?
of us,
saying these things that is just so damning.
I love the beetle story that happens here. I mean, anytime Helaena talks about bugs, it's a treat, but this idea of this beautiful beetle who embodies the idea of do no harm, right? Just eats literal shit.
Yeah. Lives off the waste of others.
Does not kill to survive, is beautiful, even if it's a shit-eating bug or whatever. And Rhaenyra's like, can't wait to hear more about this bug. And she's
Show
like,
me next time.
You're fucking lying. I know you don't give a shit about this bug. But I just like really love that Rhaenyra's like, sure.
Can't
the
say
beetle. Can't wait. And Helena's like, stop bullshitting me. You've been bullshitting me about bugs my whole life. I'm over it. I thought this was a great scene and horrifying. Of course, to watch the force feeding that happens when Rhaenyra walks out. Absolutely horrifying.
The fact that Rhaenyra, because she's like, don't make me do this. The bullshit, the faux, you're forcing my hand. This is a choice Rhaenyra's making. To your camera angle point, we see Rhaenyra is not torn up about this. So that's painful to confront. And the background, the way that we see these Targaryen soldiers pinning, holding Helaena down and ladling forcefully food into her throat in the background, Rhaenyra in the foreground, like that was just really, really good. And I thought, Rhaenyra has spent so much of this season, whether it was like assessing Ormund's strategy and intention, or, if we go back to last season, something like Otto orchestrating in the wake of Daemon's, again, to be clear, blood and cheese fiasco. The Rhaenyra the cruel harbinger at Jaehaerys' funeral procession.
Call him by his real name.
They call like baseball head, little seam neck. Yeah, just really big stitches. So worried that head was going to just roll off the whole time. Rhaenyra has been thinking very actively and talking in the show about this. They will call me Maegor returned, right? This Maegor the cruel comp that we know her enemies, her foes, are actively seeking to cultivate. In a scene like this with Helaena, you feel it certainly in the Baela scene with the grabbing of the face, obviously with what's going to happen with the High Septon. With this scene with Helaena, there's this like perception that Rhaenyra feared and was seeking to fend off and was very conscious of, which only makes it more devastating to really watch this transition.
Who do you think I am? Who she says constantly to Alicent and to Daemon and like, what horrors do you think I'm capable of?
Exactly.
And then she's like, guess what?
Yeah. From the Realm's Delight to Maegor returned.
The Realm's Delight was never really a good appellation.
Remember when Aegon was like, the Realm's Delight, talking to Larys in season 2 about what he wanted? Everyone was so fucked up in the show. It's great. Time for Rhaenyra to debut a new look, and it is so spectacular that we would like to see it once again. Listen,
looks spectacular.
We've got some notes on the policy, but
no notes on the fit.
Drip Queen. So the mail in the armor, conveying strength, martial strength, masculinity for sure. Viserys' crown's still there to convey that legitimacy. I was his chosen heir. I am the one who has inherited this prophecy. The eye makeup, Joanna. Tell us everything.
Splendid. Well, I really liked your assessment that it looked sort of like the slitted pupil of a dragon's eye. It's not really exactly what they said in the behind the scenes. They said
war paint.
Yeah, war paint. That they were looking for sort of this like rusted, red, bloody, crusty, and that both the makeup artist and Emma Darcy were sort of experimenting with like something they wanted Rhaenyra. Alinda didn't do this. Rhaenyra did this.
Right.
So like they were just sort of like smearing it around and just
Alinda was too busy like saying to
breaking
Mysaria,
up with
I
people.
don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. Monitoring Helaena. Alinda had a lot on her plate.
Always does.
So it seems like Emma Darcy at one point in the makeup chair just kind of went like this. And then they showed it to Ryan. Ryan told us in the interview that they showed it to Ryan. Ryan's like,
that's sick.
Looks great. I think it's awesome.
It's really
I saw
cool.
some people who did not like this look at all.
Really?
I think it looked, well, there's people who just like love to not like things. But like this image came out before the episode. And I saw a lot of people critiquing armor. I just think it's a fantastic look. I think the armor looks great. I think the makeup looks great. I think the way in which it just sort of like really hardens her, makes her so scary.
Yes.
She talks about, Emma Darcy talked in, again, I think no one talks more intelligently about their character than Emma Darcy does. But this idea of taking a page out of Ormond's book and wrestling down some iconography and this fascistic imagery. It's funny. The Darth Vader comp has come up a bunch in the behind the scenes. You hate it. I don't love it. But what it makes me think of is Donald Gleason in the First Order. That sort of like Star Wars fascistic imagery
for sure.
in The Force Awakens. That was in all the trailers for The Force Awakens, just sort of like barking out about the First Order with the banners sort of all around him and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that Emma comment. Rhaenyra is cognizant of the image making. And we, our girl Linda has come up so many times today, and I think it feels right at the end of the season to be talking about Alinda this much. But that coaching session with Rhaenyra on the precipice of hearing petitions for the first time in episode 3, which we love so much, really thinking about what is every single choice going to convey to somebody. So Rhaenyra has been primed for this, thinking about it. What would it mean to hold a sword? What would it mean to wear a chain, et cetera, to wear jewels? And so the like deliberate nature of every single one of those choices really feels like a rewarding place to have built. I think that the, with the dragon winged armor, like shoulder blade things, to convey dragon strength and the Targaryen inheritance, but just the confinement of the face and neck in particular with the male, like the way that the hair, right, exactly. The idea of just like stifling and suppressing whatever humanity remains in order to craft and forge the image that you think the realm demands of you is, boy, really hit. Really hit. Joffrey has a new look, too.
Yeah, little circlet, little princeling.
Do you think that these two have had a conversation while he was awake before this moment?
Single other conversation? I don't know.
In the litter over to the Sept, Rhaenyra sees Queen of Bastards scrawled on the walls. And it's a cementing, right? A cementing of this focus on legitimacy and needing to reinforce it that has led Rhaenyra so astray, but has been so central. The fact that, like, when the Queen of Bastards with the strong sigil scroll came up earlier in the season, Rhaenyra saw it as a threat, and now, like, it's a thing she sees right before she shifts into that different tone of voice and tells Joffrey about the prophecy, and then, of course, goes to the Sept and does what happens there. Now it's just further vindication, right? It's one more reason, one more bit of proof that all the choices she's making are necessary.
Interesting.
So that was interesting. Here's what she says to Joff.
An interesting assessment.
Queen of Bastards.
I need to think about it. Yeah.
What did you think of the Instagram carousel before the finale that was like Queen of Bastards? I can't remember the exact phrasing for Aemond and Aegon, but the Aemond one was like one-eyed kinslayer or something, and then the Aegon one was basically like, he's back! so funny. Really great.
Did you see Emma's, speaking of Instagram carousels, Emma did a sort of like, thanks so much for everyone who worked on this season, and one of my favorites was there was an overhead shot of Viserys's crown and a post-it that said soft. And so I think it was just sort of like, in terms of like hero props, like this is one of the ones that was like made of rubber.
Incredible.
You know, because I'm sure it was like quite more comfortable to wear the rubber version than, but like when Rhaenyra has to sort of grasp it and look at it, you don't want it flopping around. So you've got the metal version of it as well.
I like to think it's also just a little dunk on Viserys.
Soft boy Viserys.
Viserys the peaceful, soft. Viserys on our minds, certainly here. We don't see the full conversation between Rhaenyra and Joffrey, but she begins. We've seen it, and we'll see it again. It's in short order in front of the masses. The setup, I thought this was really interesting to compare and contrast when Rhaenyra told Jace, which of course she directly invokes in this scene, you know, the moment where she told Jace, because both this, with Tumbleton unfolding elsewhere, and the moment she told Jace, Rook's Rest, are on the eve of battle. So there's some like urgency to why she is sharing this, but the substance and tone are so distinct. Like when she's telling Jace, first of all, she says, I never told you because I was unsure that I believed in myself. So we're in a position of doubt. And doubt is actually healthy and good and normal and important. To be in a position where you're like, is this right? Is this okay? Should I seek more counsel? Should I pursue more wisdom? That's not the tone here. It's not the tenor here. It's not where Rhaenyra is. And then there's also just the difference between like, I had to exhaust every path for peace into we are in a moment of violent embrace.
Well, what I think is there's a couple things, of course, that are different here. One is that Rhaenyra has hardened herself to letting Joffrey in the same way that she let poor Lucerys and Jacaerys in, right? So
a lot of grief.
Yeah, so she's like, I'm not up for this.
Yeah.
Right? I can't do that anymore. So I've got to be this more like hardened version of myself. Like I'm your mother and I am the monarch and all this sort of stuff like that. But also, given the way that she delivers this information later on to the masses, much to your delight.
My favorite.
It's not, this is a prophecy you need to know for the future. I am the prince who was promised. It's not one along the line will be, you might be, it might be one of our ancestors. It's me. Right now, I light the way and I am the chosen one. Not, I need to be on the throne so that one of my ancestors can be the chosen one. It's me. Hi.
It's so gnarly if you really play out the string on that because what does that mean? It means like almost in some sick, twisted, warped way, you need the apocalyptic cataclysm in order to definitively prove that you are the one. It's dangerous.
It needs to happen now so you guys all know and nobody doubts that I was right to do this.
Oh, God.
Tough.
We'll get back to Rhaenyra and the Sept shortly.
Okay. Everything's going to go well, right?
Everything's fine for all of the characters. They're all thriving and doing great. Lots of winners in this episode. Gwayne, Our beloved Gwayne and Daeron are watching Ormund load the children onto the battlements and freak out at smelly, proximate townspeople and panic whisper with Paul John Roxton. And Darren's like, they're hiding it even from me. So Ormund, of course, with the kids. Plan A is still like, deterrent. Maybe they won't burn the kids. But plan B, just as good to Ormund, is maybe they will. And then Maegor returned. And for him, he's like win-win. Doesn't know that he's about to be dead. Tough one for Ormund. Oh, well. Darren. By the way, on House the Dragon's Built, not to jump ahead to Ormond's death, but Tommy Flanagan, and I'm paraphrasing, being like, bum up the ass, delightful way to go, and then Dragonfire was really something.
Here's the best part.
Find that quote.
Here's the best part of House of the Dragon's Built.
Yeah.
They had to subtitle Tommy Flanagan because his accent was so thick. They had to subtitle him on the he's sitting there with his sunglasses
in gigantic font, by the way.
Yeah. He's sitting there in his sort of at rest sunglasses on interview, and he's just sort of it's like that scene from Hot Fuzz where you have no idea what people are saying. It's so funny. Great movie.
Here's what he said. James gets a knife that size and he goes like this, up his bum. Yeah. Delightful way to die. Then a dragon comes in and burns us both to crisps.
And then they show them embracing after he's done the bent over shove up gesture.
Man, James Norton really had to go through some stuff on it was the 30 cups of Campbell's soup mix when he had to puke earlier this season.
I don't know. I think the person who had it the hardest in this behind the scenes was is it Kieran Bow? Is that Hugh Hammer?
Yeah.
Where he just had to run.
And they were everyone just wanted to go to lunch and everyone was hungry and he's like, 25 more.
he's like, my armor is so heavy.
That was really funny. Oh my God. Daeron doesn't want anyone to die for him. Real man of the people. I call this the anti-Joffrey. What we saw from Daeron in this episode where he's like, I must take wing. I gotta get out. It's the opposite. Did my mother say that she had urgent business? Huh?
Do I hear Cersei and her golden breastplate calling to me?
His options are to fight or to flee. And Gwayne's like, I might have another option. Come with me to this interesting little storage den. Where Corlys is. This really reminded me, both actually the visuals of just Corlys against the wall, but also the substance of what they're saying, of the Varys Ned.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-Baelor. Obviously, deliberately, they're framing it in a similar way. But first of all, I was like, Corlys has got jokes, like the Boy King and his squire. Yeah. Very funny. But the Ned Varys vibes, not only the setting, just that, Corlys has given a lot of Ned, I grew up with soldiers, I learned how to die long ago, when he says, my honor is all that remains to me. Do you really think I would hawk it for high tower coin? But then there's the kind of madness of mercy appeal ultimately here about thinking about the cost. More of the broad cost for the realm here than the very specific, what about your daughter's life? But still, Alyn the Brûle. Here's the thing about Gwayne's pitch. It is, and we absolutely love Gwayne. We are, I think, co-presidents of the Gwayne, Freddie Fox's Gwayne Hightower fan club. This pitch was never going to work, and it was, I don't even know
frankly, kind of stupid.
I don't even know why.
I mean, I understand that he's coming under the banners of parlay, so he's saved.
David
but
was never going to say
the fact
to
that
this.
it's just him with a dagger and some chains in his hand. I'm like, what did we think we were accomplishing here?
Worth it for the moment where Gwayne lifts his foot so that Corlys can take one step further and then puts it back down. Hysterical. Daemon, he and Caraxes have arrived. They've got to pause from talking shit about Kristen, who got one more dunk here. It's so easy to forget. Gwayne introduces himself to Daemon.
Yeah, this upsets you. They've jousted.
I thought this was weird. I'm moving on.
What I will say is
maybe Gwayne was I was so unmemorable. That would be sad.
I feel confident that he filleted his way through every turn that he went to. And I support it.
Since you mentioned the horse dismounting thing, I've gotten served versions of that reel, no fewer than 7,000 times. I've watched every single one. It's the best.
I just like the fact that Matt Smith and Freddie Fox were in a scene together.
We deserve it.
We really deserve it.
We deserve it. Genuinely two of the greats. Roddy is taunting Gwayne mercilessly, but Gwayne ignores him long enough to say a thing that Alys, in the book, Alicent is credited with presenting this, just divide the kingdoms plan. The timing's a little different. It's Rhaenyra has taken King's Landing, and there's this real desperate, like, well, wait, what if we just split it all up?
She's like, too late, bitch queen, into the golden shackles with you.
Farcical then, farcical now. No question. And Corlys jumps in with a suggestion that is not any more effective, ultimately. Make Daeron Warden of the South, wed him to Rhaenyra, breach the divide. Now, of course, very few characters in the show better positioned than Corlys to think about the impact of the presence or absence of a marriage pact with the Targaryens, right? I mean, who can forget 12-year-old Lena walking through?
Dragons must be lonely, too.
Sometimes I think back to that moment, I'm like, this show went for it from day one, and no one can say otherwise.
My mother says I don't have to sleep with you until I'm 14.
Remember that? Oh my gosh.
And Mysaria looks so stricken. And he's like, I'll go for, I don't know, how old is Alicent supposed to be? 16? I'll go for the 16-year-old instead. Much more reasonable.
Oh, God. So here's what Daemon says in response to Corlys's update on the pitch. Gwayne is just like, fuck off, right? Corlys basically calls him a traitor for suggesting any of this and says it was your wife who was passed over, Corlys. Rhaenyra seized the throne with a horde of dragons. Her rule is now unassailable. A lot of unassailable rule talk from Daemon. Interesting that even inside of the Targaryen line, Daemon, Rhaenyra, the idea of their line, their children will rule it forever and a day. The prophecy, what Daemon saw at Harrenhal, what Rhaenyra has been told. There's Targ supremacy for them even inside of the Targaryen line, which was really reinforced by a comment like that. And then Daemon just like full mailed fist chokes Gwayne and is like, you can die like a fucking rat or right here. It was scary. Same.
Yeah, I was worried. What I think is interesting is what we're watching, which I feel conflicted about, but like a series of men discover that war is bad, actually, right? So this is like Kristen Cole's experience at Rook's Rest, right? And then this is Corlys's experience at the Gullet, right? If this be victory, I hope to never experience it again. And then this is Daemon's seemingly experience here at Tumbleton. And so Corlys here is saying like, what do you want from this? Do you want a pile of dead Hightower bodies, or do you actually want peace? Right. Feels like it's directly, I mean, it's not like he became squeamish. He went out and he was just
brief
sort of like
interlude of just
murdering pirates,
murdering a ton of triarchy.
That's different from war, I guess. You know, where he's just sort of like
it's mop up duty.
Yeah. But he's like, I've seen what it's like.
Yes,
to do battle like this. But I don't know. I need to keep thinking.
It is interesting because Kristen still feels to me like it was really,
Kristen made sense to me.
Yes, and it was really about what does it mean to just be a mortal man.
Yeah.
In a dragon war. And then he still led all of his men to their deaths and only at the last second was like, what if you let them go?
And I like this idea that like Daemon understanding what it's like to be on the wrong side of dragon warfare, which he's, because I was like, well, when he was at the Stepstones, like he was definitely on the ground when dragon fighting was happening above, but all the dragons were on his side. So he has never been on the other side, right? Of an army that had, because Vhagar fucked off, an army that was like actually fighting against him. So to feel that for the first time, like barring, I don't know, Rhaenyra dropping Syrax on the bridge at Dragonstone, and her being like,
screeching from across the bridge, or Sheepstealer charging him down from the moon,
the
mountains of the moon,
but
and the skirmish in the field last week, obviously when he was fighting Sheepy. But yeah, it's a different perspective for Daemon, and there's a level of culpability that he has to confront.
War versus like a family skirmish.
Yeah,
there's a family skirmish versus the family skirmish that is the dance, and it's just sort of like, I don't know. I'm still processing it. Like I do think that people who are like, it makes sense to me that Daemon would have this be taken aback by the children that he burned and the screaming babies and the women, because they were not at the fish feed, these sort of like innocent like mothers and children and stuff like that. I don't know. I just think it's interesting, like who this revelation is available to versus not,
and what he'll do with it. And I think the fact that again, in response to like, well, don't you want peace? What about peace? The thing he says yet again is a new Valeria will rise from the ashes.
Well, that's
of her usurper half brothers.
Pre-Tumby.
Right. But so for him to have to like, well, what do the ashes actually look like?
Oh, they're made up of babies.
Yeah. If you're constantly the one saying from the, courting dragon war, telling Rhaenyra constantly, we have the edge in the dragon math.
Yeah.
And then this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
I would want, whether it totally tracks or not, I would want any character looking at that to be like, oh, fuck. Also, I just think he's badly concussed. And probably grappling with the fact that John Roxy was kicking his ass. Tough one.
He really was.
Speaking of tough ones. Aemond.
You know what phrase? I love having your bell rung.
Bell rung. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Daemon got his bell rung for sure. And yes, absolutely. Oh, sweet. It makes me think of, I love that flashback in the across time. Wonderful stuff. Some Starks do some fucked up shit in this episode. Stark men, not actual Starks.
We'll talk about it.
Dustins, Winter Wolves, Greybeards. Some blondes before we get to the Greybeards. Aemon wakes up from his dreams, and he is woken by the Targaryen alarm. Vhagar? The beating of dragon wings. No
Dragon
beep, beep, beep for them. But it's not Vhagar. It's not her Tobians. It is sweet Sunfyre and his crispy king. Let's see it.
It cannot be. You are dead. I'm alive! Imbecile.
This is so good.
Line read of the season.
It's no question. From the usurper who brought us to war then. I mean,
I'm alive!
I'm alive is so funny. It's instantly indelible and iconic, really great. I also thought the no, this was supposed to be fun was very amusing, really good. There's a lot to talk about in this scene. So Aemon begs for Aegon's forgiveness, falls to his knees right away. There's the shock, right? But also there is the contrition, saying to him, I coveted what you had. I judged you unsuited, rightly. But he was like talking about it to Kristen Cole in this dumb hat from the word go. Like, it is I
who is fluent in Velaryon.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been to therapy.
Exactly. Oh, boy, has he. Harrenhal therapy, man.
I've been dream journaling.
Yeah. My mom tried to kill me.
Mom tried to kill me.
I've gone through a lot.
Fucked a hot mom.
Sure did. While dreaming of fucking their actual mom.
We're gonna get married.
Alys's face when he said betrothed and then Aegon's face was just so good. I loved the scene. Aegon is in real, like, eye for an eye vengeance mode, but he needs
Vhagar.
He needs allies. He needs support. He needs Aemon. He needs Vhagar. So he's like, maybe I'll think about forgiving you if you help me get these shit heels in line in Tumbleton and then put Rhaenyra's head on a spike. So this is a big show move.
Yeah.
This is not in the books. Now, we had been talking in the spoiler section a lot this season about how is the show going to pay off this mutual obsession that these characters have with each other if they don't interact. And here's the answer. The answer is they do interact in the show. We got this scene. What happens after this, we don't know. Ewan Mitchell was talking in the Inside the Episode about the kind of like the choice. Will he stay with Alys? Will he go with Aegon? So this is like new story to us. We don't know, right? The fact that
because Alys is like,
she's like, you need to stay.
Yeah.
Your dragon abandoned you. You need to stay. Real shift from like, maybe she left to protect you to his dragon abandoned him. He can't go. Funny. There's certainly
comedy,
high comedy from everyone in this moment. Certainly room to introduce a scene like this because much about Aegon in this stretch of the story is unknown. Where is he? Pieced out, we don't know, and then we find out. So like, there's room to play here, and I think, as you talked about on Sunday on Talk the Thrones, not only is there room to play, these two character arcs and the entwinement on the show, like, we need these character beats. Thought the scene was pretty good.
I really liked it.
Pretty entertaining.
Our listener JJ wrote in on the response to my betrothed moment.
Mm-hmm.
JJ said, when Aemon called Alys my betrothed, I imagine a sitcom-style smash cut to the poor nameless Baratheon girl, not Maris, left all alone at Storm's End since all the Baratheon men are out, quote, fighting the, quote, Dornish threat, heaving a heavy sigh.
It would have been hysterical to get yet another Baratheon mention if Aegon had been like, but what about? But that would require Aegon to have paid a lick of attention at any point.
That would require that Baratheon girl to have a name.
Exactly. Well, exactly.
What about unnamed Baratheon girl?
I liked the
sucks to suck
contrast in disposition. Aegon is like, he's also seeing in Sunfyre what the realm sees and what Rhaenyra fears that people see, this sanctioning, right? He's really like newly confident, determined, the way he says even like, we'll go under my banner. No room for any confusion anymore. I thought the setting choice too, not just Harrenhal, but like inside of Harrenhal was really perfect because the Great Hall of Harrenhal, like where the Great Council was, where all of this began with the Great Choosing, with selecting Viserys over Rhaenys. Perfect place for this exchange, but also just the fact that even though we don't know exactly what choice Aemond is going to make, this is also where Rhaenyra flew in on Syrax as Daemon was amassing the Rivermen army and was like, put up or shut up time, buddy. Pledge your fealty or we have a problem. And he
gets everyone to kneel for her.
Yeah. He swore to war his queen.
Swear to me.
What is that queen up to? Glad you asked.
Not great stuff, I would say.
Making a very public push compared to Aegon's very private one. Did the butter churner witness this? Who can say? Did the goats witness it? Who can say? A lot of people for sure witness what Rhaenyra is about to do.
There aren't goats. There's one goat, and it's also Alys.
I just got such a thrill out of seeing the goat on the tapestry prop in House of the Dragons built. That was really a treat. Or a while back in the middle of the season 3, episode 4, asked Rhaenyra after Rhaenyra's confrontation with High Septon Ballman, does it matter? Does it matter?
But also, are we killing?
That's right. We moved. Boy, life comes at you fast. A little joke about killing the High Septon to like
killing Septons?
Yeah.
No, I would never.
Apparently we are. Rhaenyra has to now counter the Aegon hype machine. The High Septon is not only no more compelled than he was previously, he's like, I told you I needed a body, and guess what? I got one. My boy is back!
He's alive! Imbecile princess! I think you may have 6 dragons, but I have a 7-faced god is a sick comeback. Might as well go out quipping. Good. You know what I mean?
No question. Get the bars out there while you can. To harm me is to declare war upon the Starry South. Now, he told Rhaenyra in the 3rd episode, you would be wise to take me seriously. You would be wise to take the faith seriously. Not only like the people need us, but don't make an enemy of the faith. And in addition to having that direct warning from this character, who she is about to order Alyn to stab in plain sight of all assembled, there's a lot of historic precedent.
Including her small son?
I had a lot of like, oh my God, what is Joffrey making of all of this pangs for this sweet young boy?
And Show us your Tobies, Joff.
No. Great crown, though, as we said. The history between, as we talked about earlier in the season, like the faith and the Targaryens is quite fraught. And of all the Targs who had a rough go with it,
uneasy detente.
Quite. Guess who had trouble maintaining even that uneasy detente?
Magar.
Correct. The exact comp Rhaenyra doesn't want. Magar the Cruel.
Magar, I love to kill.
Boy, I just think also like Rhaenyra being so focused, understandably, on what does the public think? What do they think of me? What do they think of Aegon? But not worrying about like, what are they going to think of me killing this guy?
Well, that's because she has not updated her dragon math. And she says, I have 6 dragons.
That's tough.
Babe.
Tough.
No.
Okay. Very, very, very tough.
Can I read this email from our listener, Addison? Please. Who gave us a real sort of like crunchy version of history here. I just got a kick out of reading this email. In 1170, King Henry II was annoyed at the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket, a.k.a. his old chess bestie, because he didn't love the overreach from the crown into the church. Thomas Becket goes, Pope over the king, honey. I see your king and raise you a pope. Probably the wrong thing to say to the king. So King Henry II is like, Thomas Becket needs to go to sleep like forever. And also he's back from exile on English soil, but he's in sanctuary in the cathedral, like whatever. Okay. Actually, King Henry II says this iconic line, quote, will no one rid me of this turbulent priest? An incredible thing. 4 of his knights take that seriously, and maybe it was sounding a bit like blood and cheese, and get into Canterbury Cathedral, and they try to drag Thomas out. They can't, so they murder him in the cathedral, doing a big sacrilegious rut-row. Everyone can read up on how all of that ended up unfolding.
Sacrilegious rut-rows. Really funny.
This email's great.
To quote one of the co-writers of the episode, T. McKell from Inside the Episode, killing the High Septon is insane. You know, she's killed the Pope.
Big sacrilegious
Ruh-roh. You quoted earlier in the pod Alicent's commentary on the state of inevitability, the morality, etc. When we think back to Rhaenyra's response to Alicent, when Alicent was like, you will do things that your heart would have recoiled from before you came to the throne, Rhaenyra said, I acknowledge the struggle. I dispute that I must become what I am not. And Alicent gave her the old time will tell. And now it has. Time has told.
Rhaenyra was just like,
how can Alicent not be on our minds, not only because of that, but this slaying of the High Septon takes place in front of one of their favorite spaces. The candle table at the Sept.
Their bestie candle ring.
This place that for Alicent and Rhaenyra multiple times across the years, and then, briefly and more comically for Rhaenyra and Daemon. Okay, it might be really hard. Maybe it's too late. It's too late Rhaenyra moment. Can we find a path to peace? Being like befouled with the blood of the faith here?
Can I ask you a season-long question?
Please.
Like, on the sort of like subtlety of the writing front, I think Alicent saying like 5 different times, like, hey, Rhaenyra, you're going to do bad things now that you're the monarch. And Rhaenyra being like, no, oops, I did. Is like,
sure. Yeah.
Not the deftest weave inside of this season, I would say.
Still below Rhaena saying, I wanted a dragon my whole life and now I have one and it's really rough. Rhaenyra's ready. Rhaenyra doesn't need another pass. Ready to make a speech to the masses, shares the prophecy with everyone. And I will say I was struck by a couple of things. Visual contrast to where we found Rhaenyra in the same location earlier in the season.
Rutabaga.
Alms for the small folk. I think it was Claire, we talked about this on that pod, but like Claire talking about the kind of like saintly imagery, the way they lit Rhaenyra in that scene, right?
Claire killing her, yeah.
Yeah, and this is obviously a drastically different, despotic, militant display.
Like upshot sort of thing.
Yeah. Sharing the prophecy, I don't have anything new to say here about the choice. Like, I'm on the record. It doesn't track for me. That's okay. It does track inside of the show. There's a difference to me between inside of the show and across the canon.
Well, it had been like a fun, mysterious puzzle for us to unknot, and now it's just sort of like, okay, never mind.
Yes.
But
yes,
we can talk a little bit more in the spoiler section. We got some listener thoughts on this, but I do like this idea of like, and Condell said this, and certainly the show depicts this, that everyone watching her is like, what is this crazy lady talking about, right?
No question.
Nobody watching this is like,
this is normal and good.
I shall remember this and tell all of the Septons when they're writing down the history of this. They're just gonna be like, that lady was a rambling and I had no idea what she was talking about. And then she switched to a different language altogether.
I think this lady was rambling. I had no idea what she was talking about. And then she switched to a different language altogether is exactly the kind of thing that is commemorated in Fire and Blood. Honestly, exactly the kind of thing that is commemorated. So this is my personal, like, here we are, inside of the show. I think that Rhaenyra making this choice makes sense. Does it align with Fire and Blood and this not making the history? Does it totally track with some stuff in Game of Thrones proper?
No.
It is what it is. No. I do like thinking of the Night King being like, Dragonfire? But of course, for the character, there's a lot to talk about here in terms of just like what is driving Rhaenyra and what is on display. So invoking the Doom. First of all, she's like, long before my dad. Yeah, we've talked a lot about Viserys. Long before my daddy chose me, I was ordained, right? Let me tell you about the Doom.
And they're like, what?
They're not interested. You know what's interesting on House of the Dragons built that we got? Obviously, they did different takes. There was a lot, like the heckling and booing. But that was not what made there was more of a just sort of like bemused silent reception, which is effective and tells us something in a different way. But taking from the Doom of Valeria the wrong lesson, like we were the only dragon riding family to escape because we're chosen and not the, oh boy, wait, are we bringing about another Doom? Tracks for where we find Rhaenyra now, certainly. Invoking an ancient and sinister darkness. The look, Chris was very excited by this, the look that passed between, we get a lands of always winter, the far north. The look that passes between Torrhen Manderley and Orwell.
And Torrin Manderly,
of the North.
who's from the North, and is like, what the hell?
Of the North and a learned
He's like
maester of
Grumpkins
the
and
Citadel.
Snarks? What are you talking about?
Well, or I mean, maybe, or they're like, should we talk about this? But either way, they're tracking something specific that other people are
possibly,
not.
But I read that as just sort of like
loony.
This lady,
Loony.
crazy.
I did hear you like love to say cuckoo bananas, which is so I could like hear you in my head saying cuckoo bananas. Watch, this is just a very fun experience. It was like you were there with
the
me.
thing about Rhaenyra, the thing that makes this scene so good,
Yeah,
is Rhaenyra thinks she's killing it,
crushing it.
She's
Crushing it.
She's like, I did.
I light the way. I've had this only dragon fire. Okay, so here's a question, and I was too hung up on my bugaboo to like focus on this the first time around, but this was something I was thinking about a lot prepping for the deep dive. Rhaenyra is very Hightower focused, and to an extent that makes sense. But here's the thing. While Team Green is Hightower fueled and Hightower coded, the actual challengers for the throne are dragon riders.
Yeah, but they're Targ towers.
But if Aegon hears about this, he can just say, I also am a Targaryen dragon rider, so I can say I can uphold that prophecy.
He's not going to say that because he's going to be like, because how he's going to hear about it is this. Your sister made the most cuckoo banana speech.
And no one's going to share any words of substance about what she said
all
ever
of
again.
Westeros.
If you say so.
She's cooked.
Was Tywin on your mind? You know, the old any man who needs to say I am king when Rhaenyra was like, I am Rhaenyra the chosen, and then switching Ty Velaryon for I am the prince that was promised. Now, a lot of people fall into the any man who needs to say I am king is no king camp, but really palpable here with Rhaenyra, certainly. Joff, as you notice, seems just, really taking it all in.
He's like, can I go back to sleep?
Really taking it all in. I was loving those naps as you just calmly and quietly sat by my side, not saying that you were Rhaenyra the chosen.
Mysaria watching her.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in the spoiler section. This is like a book change.
Right.
That I think a lot of us who are book readers are drawing the same conclusion from.
Yeah. Yes. And the assembled. You think a little bit of the Jorah, they don't care what games the High Lords play from the crowd there? Or you think they do care and
they're like, less of this, more rutabagas.
I mean, yeah.
I miss the rutabagas is what they said.
Well, the rutabagas in Tumbleton are about to be on fire because the battle is going
nice charred
to
rutabaga.
Yeah, that sounds delicious, actually. Prophecy talk from Rhaenyra, intercut with the scenes of mortal men readying for war, very effective in terms of the editing of that sequence. Gave me a little bit of a Battle of Winterfell Long Night vibe, but like inverted in the sense that we see all of the townspeople who are imperiled, but like in the North in season 8 of Thrones, there's such a desperate effort to protect them. And here it's all like, what are we willing to do to them or who could be a pawn?
Oh, you mean when they huddled them down into the Winterfell crypts?
It was always going to be fine. Nobody had ever mentioned that the Night King raised the dead, so it was always going to be fine. It was, so thank you for mentioning that because when
I go to sleep at night, I think about Peter Dinklage trying to explain why Tyrion, one of the smartest characters in the show.
Like, let's sit by the graves, by the tombs. I am glad you said that because I was like trying to gird myself to come in today and say, I'm going to stop bitching about how it doesn't totally make sense that Rhaenyra would just tweet out the prophecy. And then I remembered that it's been 7 years since Jon didn't pet Ghost goodbye, and I've not stopped talking about it once, and I won't. Sorry. All right, Daemon and his lieutenants, they plan their approach. Some talk about main gates, postern gates, etc. Here's the thing. There's just really one thing to focus on for everyone, and it's this. Take every care to preserve the town and its people. The realm is watching. The queen's moral standing must remain absolute.
Ruh-roh.
Black Aly responds to this before we see Rodney the Ruin happily drive his axe into a young boy's face. Before Daemon reluctantly but ultimately Dracarys's the gate where a couple kids still stand. Black Aly says to this, sounds boring. And this is really a deliberate choice that this episode made. We were talking about Rhaenyra's descent, where we find Daemon. The entire Team Black faction I mean, Alyn stabs the High Septon. Roddy, a character we're like, Roddy the Ruin, cool, fuck, yeah, oh, Black Alley, awesome. They're happy to murder legions of innocents. Happy to. So this is a weaponizing of our affection for these groups of characters.
We got this really great email from our listener, Simon, about sort of the way, an interesting defense of not giving us more Roddy the Ruin this season, right?
Let's hear it.
Simon says, A Song of Ice and Fire readers and Game of Thrones watchers are primed to sympathize with the North due to our narrative focus on the Starks in the main series. And so this northern dude who sounds like the Great John is going to be inherently sympathetic. However, this narrative...
Would we say that the Great John is inherently sympathetic?
However...
Your meat is bloody tough.
This narrative, Cameron, can often obscure the backwardness and cruelty inherent to the North, the right of the first night, the bleak generational culling of the northern winter, and the relative weakness of Andal institutions like the Maesters or the Faith. We don't really think about these things because we think about the Honorable Ned, who grew up in the Vale, or the dashing Robb, who is arguably more a Tully than a Stark. So to see Roddy the Ruin finally given a good amount of screen time in the finale and to find out that his characterization is less the charismatic soldier and more a caricature of bloodlust and a borderline suicidal warrior mentality really works to further problematize the black side of the battle. Throughout the episode, almost all of his dialogue boils down to one of two categories. Yay, I can't wait to die, or insert homophobic battle talk here. The fact that we are primed to like Roddy because he's northern, only to see him be much more unsavory than we're expecting, really works for this reason. He is not Ned. He's not even the Great John. Honestly, he seemed more like Victarion to me than anyone else. A loony Viking whose sincerest ambition is just to go to Valhalla. And it doesn't matter how many kids he axes in the face to get there. I think it's no accident that he exchanges words with Kristen at the pre-Butcher's Ball parlay in season 3, episode 6. Roddy says, what better way to die than with a blade in hand, to another knight who is on a quest of suicidal nihilism, envisioning his own glorious death in battle. In Tumbleton, we get to see Roddy live Kristen's fantasy, and it is ugly to the core.
I will push back on one thing in the email, which is just that I think a lot of the end of Game of Thrones hinges on a lot of the northern. Not even the end. I mean, the Boltons, the Umbers, the Karstarks. There's a ton of houses in the north that we actively consider villains. So I don't think we have the North broadly is holy. But the fact that the Winter Wolves came to us through Cregan Stark as his graybeards, the Stark halo and gleam over them, I don't disagree. And they're holding the Stark sigil. So there's that.
Of course, there are northern houses that we despise. Yeah. But I think in a sort of broader the North remembers sort of sense. Especially people who do not go into granular detail with the text and are just sort of who are the good guys in this world?
Yeah, for sure.
The Starks.
No question.
I think the larger point stands. And to see them wearing clothing, we joked about how the fashions haven't changed in for many years. The North are wearing the exact same thing, but he's just wearing looks like an old version of Jon Snow.
Yeah,
That's what he looks like.
I said the same thing before you read the email. I feel that too, and I think it's a very deliberate and effective choice on the show's part. I think there's a little bit of northern nuance inside of it that's very core to the canon, but it was interesting to think back to the Roddy Kristen moment in the email, or the point in the email, we were talking about that in the Butcher's Ball scene is why is Roddy's positioning and framing of can't wait to die something we welcome and embrace, and Kristen's isn't. And we had a great conversation about that. And then we're made complicit for having felt that way because of our relationship to that really cool fucking moment in
We've
the book.
Come to die for the Dragon
or
Queen,
our expectation of what somebody who's holding a Stark direwolf
that
on a shield
said,
will do.
I don't know actually the finer details of the Winter Wolves and if it's a conscription or if it's just sort of you're of a certain age or whatever you have to go. But it seems like the Winter Wolf mentality is everyone agrees.
Yes.
We've come to die for the Dragon Queen. Kristen's men were
that point still holds. Yes.
Yes. We're gonna go home.
The storms are limited. It's winter. Let's let the young people live and eat and feed, and we'll go actually.
We've all come to die for the Dragon Queen. Kristen's
I made this choice for everyone. Yeah. Because of my own ego and need for glory.
One more thing I want to say about Daemon giving his speech on, he arrives on Caraxes, but then he hops over to a horse instead.
Yes.
Our listener Olivia sent in this photo of just sort of it's Daemon on his horseback with Caraxes right over his shoulder. And his horse has armor with spikes in the same place that Caraxes' spikes are. And Olivia wrote, Caraxy's cosplay for Daemon's horse. Cute. And I think that's really fun.
Daemon, you know, the original dragon helm that we saw him in when he was jousting Gwayne, who either doesn't remember that they've met or thinks Daemon more likely doesn't remember that they've met. He's always been very dragon forward in the armor, so I like that he's extending it to his horse there. Gives a pep talk from that horse. The chanting begins. The drums are beating. Roddy leads the wolves forward. The arrows. The line is there, but then one hits a man, and he's like, "Rah!" They charge.
That's how it always happens.
Burning oil be damned. They'll plow ahead no matter what. The kids are pissing themselves and puking on the battlements. Roddy's like, axe to the face. You tapped me on the calf. Here it goes. And Daemon is receiving some updates as well. He gets an update that Ulf is not with his dragon. Worrying. Then he sees Vermithor fly overhead, and he's like, Hugh is supposed to be at the dragon pit.
Right.
Later, we'll see Hugh running into the town, screaming for his soon-to-be-dead wife, Kat. And Daemon's like, what's up with that? So he's clocking a lot. Almost like they should have anticipated that Hugh would not want to stay in King's Landing when the city where they know his wife to be is under attack. Bit of a misread there. And then the Greens move the cluster of children in front of the gate that Daemon is marching Caraxes toward. And he tells them to move, and most of them do, but a couple stay. And he's like, I don't want to do it, but I kind of have to.
Definitely killed those kids.
I think they ran. I mean, they ran. I think they got away.
No.
They ran.
They're definitely dead.
I mean, they ran. Maybe the flame got him anyway.
They ran, they died.
Regardless, before they ran and tried to escape, he sent Dracarys with 2 kids standing there, and that is fucking yikes stuff from our guy, Daemon Targaryen. Caraxes bursting his head through the charred wood, though, was awesome.
Looked great.
No notes for Caraxes. Good. He's crushing it. Ormund. As the search for Ulf is continuing, and he's shouting for Ulf through the streets, messenger comes to tell him, hey, the war has started. And Ormund's like, yeah, no shit. And he's like, well, it started because Daemon rejected the peace terms from Gwayne and Daeron. And Ormund's like, excuse
the what?
Me?
The what now?
The who? What?
The huh?
And he looks so genuinely astonished and crushed to have been betrayed by Daeron and Gwayne.
Yeah.
Brutal stuff. Brutal stuff. His hubris, right? Believing that they were really with him, loyal to him, that Ulf would be loyal to him, etc. And then it's time to find Ulf, Joe, and we get a really kind of dramatic, like a little bit of a slow-mo kind of switch into this scene, and then see that Ulf is passed out, hammered, drunk, passed out in the privy, on the shitter, hanging down, dick visible. I was going to pick this clip, and then I was like, you can see his dick, so I probably shouldn't. Snoozing after dropping a deuce. Now, we had theorized earlier in the season when this, like, Ormond smell thing was introduced. Is a dragon going to take a shit? And is that going to be how Ormond? Because we knew Ormond was going to die at Tumbleton, so we've been theorizing. Is a dragon deuce going to be what?
It's a dragon rider deuce.
Not, I mean, what's the difference, really?
Yeah.
A lot of
heft and tonnage.
Yeah. But poetically, what's the difference, really? So Ormond unravels.
Do you want to tell the people that you told me I had to change my Slack icon to the dragon dump?
Was it ever? Did we get a lot of confirmation that was in fact the Vhagar deuce? Okay, well, the mystery remains. Not everything was answered inside of season 3. Tune back in season 4. I mean, where is Vhagar is actually still a question, so we'll file the trail of shit until we find out. 2 season-long limitations for Ormond. Achilles heel ×2. Bad smells and a short fuse. Right, it's got it. We saw the
tantrum.
Didn't like what was in the scroll. The slicing of the table with his Valyrian steel sword,
and an intolerance
sweeping
for ignorant people.
That's right.
It's like 9 different.
How many
things.
heels does Ormond have?
Yeah,
really?
9 heels, and they all got sliced.
He beats Ulf in the street in a way that reminded us of something that we had seen very recently. Carlos, can we watch this?
You yourself should understand.
Set foot in the city again, and I'll put out your eyes.
Get up! Worthless! All you had to do was sit on your fucking dragon! They're inside the walls! You useless, base-born scum!
Base-born. Useless. So making him feel like a tool, a pawn, lesser, just as Daemon had, just as obviously Rhaenyra had, not in the same physical parallel as Daemon, but this is how Ormond recruited and courted Ulf, right?
How
this
dare he embarrass you in the street?
This is how they make you feel, how they treat you, and then just like
because it smelled bad.
caught a whiff.
It smelled bad.
Forgot.
He kind of forgot about his messaging.
Unbelievable.
Smell real bad.
Poetic to be undone by the thing that his foe does that he thinks he knows better than. Like, there's a lot of that in general, because he also obviously makes the mistake, even after that, of ordering Ulf, okay, go do the thing that you're supposed to do, thinking that he'll just listen to him after he treated him this way. Rhaenyra's the one who gave the unknown people in the realm. She doesn't know Ulf. She doesn't know any of these people. She gave them weapons of mass destruction. And we spent a lot of time after the sewing episode talking about that, right? To give that kind of power, dragon power, to people you don't know and whose trust you then don't work to earn and keep is worrying. Ormond didn't give Ulf a dragon, but he commits a version of that sin by thinking...
Do you think there should have been like a verbal test before they did the sewing? They just kind of herded everyone on that, whatever that word was we learned about what that thing was that they were on.
Would it be like when with like a driver's license you can like skip? Because you can only get so many wrong. You can like skip a couple.
You skip on the driver's test?
You technically can. You can if you don't know the answer, you can. When you get it renewed. I don't know if you can do that the first time. Huh. Yeah. Not your driver's test, your license.
Yeah.
When you have to you have to do like read the rule book again.
Yeah, of course. And you're like, it's foggy at night.
Yeah, we both know how to drive. It's fine. Don't worry.
What direction should your wheels be turned if you're parallel parking on a hill?
Oh, God. Great
Towards
stuff.
the curb. Okay.
I loved what James Norton said on Inside the Episode about this, all because one man felt embarrassed. The power of shame. It's amazing. You can have all these huge, big armies, big set pieces, and the thing which really dictates the story is something so small and domestic. I heard that and I was like, I'm going to really miss James Norton's Ormond, but also this guy gets it. Like, this is what we talk about all the time, where you need that human heart, the consequence of human decisions. And it's a great battle and a big spectacle. It's really cool and fun. And Tumbleton, I thought, was pretty cool and fun. You need character moments like that, and this had it.
Well, and also we've talked about sort of the allocation of story resources this season, and just sort of like as we bemoan a lack of it for Alyn or certain other characters, we could say that Ulf, this was carefully plotted. And they knew that. Yes. They knew they were ending with Tumbleton, right. And they knew that Ulf was going to have to betray Team Black. The book readers knew it, and so they had to sort of plot that course, and they did.
Yes.
They had time, and they had a great performer in Tom Bennett, and they just like really made all of that work. And so
when
he's like, fuck both of you.
Yep.
Which is a slight book change. Worked. I just want to shout out an actor who's in this episode who when Ulf walks up to Silverwing and he's sort of the emissary from Daemon, and he's like, there you are. And then they kill him.
Throat slit. Yeah.
That's Daeron Evans, who I really like, who was a series regular on the show Gallivant and My Mad Fat Diary. And he's just like a really distinctive looking, like distinctive sounding guy. And when he first showed up as like a few scenes earlier in the episode, I was like, oh my God, he's going to be on House of the Dragon.
You said goodbye quickly.
I didn't make it. I was really excited.
You allowed yourself at Tumbleton to say, oh my God, this guy's in House of the Dragon.
He would be a great, like really fun guy to have on House of the Dragon. And
I'm sorry for you. I mourn for you.
Thank you.
And I mourn for the legions
of dead. He just such a distinctive voice. I was like, oh my God. And then it was just, he was gone.
Dead. A lot of people are about to be dead because Ulf is heading for Silverwing. And before we get the burning on all sides, we get a little Roxton Daemon moment. Kinslayer, babe killer, heathen. Now, I would say bit rich for the guy who's helping Ormond populate the battlements with children, but...
Rich words from the mouth of a high tower.
You love that one. It's great. It always lands. A horse. Blood and cheese, Still hanging over Daemon. As it should. Listen, does it make sense to me that Bull John Roxton was handling Daemon Targaryen? Not necessarily. However, I think that it is nerd cocaine to see Orphan Maker and Dark Sister in a fight. And then to know, because Ormond's also here, that Vigilance is there, which he'll use to battle Roddy, cut off an arm. 3 Valyrian steel swords in Tumbleton, and 2 of them facing off here with Daemon.
When
and
have we
Bolton.
seen
fun?
Yeah, and that's what T in the behind the scenes was like. We knew that if we brought Daemon, because Daemon's not at Tumbleton in the book.
Right.
And so they're like, if we bring Daemon to Tumbleton, that means Dark Sister's coming to Tumbleton.
Yeah.
And if Dark Sister's coming to Tumbleton, that means there's Valyrian steel swords
Yes.
on either side
When
of the
we
combat.
had Longclaw and Heartsbane both at the Battle of Winterfell, they weren't fucking fighting each
No.
other. They weren't clashing.
No.
So this is exciting.
When have we seen Valyrian steel swords fight before? Hobbits and Dragons and Team.com if we forgot something.
You think Aemon is going to give the Catspaw dagger and Blackfire back to Aegon? That would be interesting.
Yeah, we haven't, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Gwayne, meanwhile, frantically searching for Daeron, finds him in the Sept, where he is attempting to unchain Tiserion.
Mhm.
We both love this scene, Joe. Tell me. And please refer to me as my boy as you tell me why you
My
love
boy.
this.
I don't know. I just thought, there are a lot of people who are expecting Daeron to get involved in the Battle of Tumbleton, and we're expecting Tiserion to sort of, get involved in the fighting.
I would have liked to see Tiserion. I'm glad that Tiserion in some ways, because this was, like you said, like Daemon's not here and the changes, but I was expecting to see Tiserion in the field by this point. I don't mind saying.
I think they didn't want to make Daeron someone who killed a bunch of people.
Sure.
This is something
Yeah.
they seem to be wanting to avoid, but like in
Yep.
the book, Daeron has already done and will, do some fighting, and they might
Yes.
just change that entirely. I don't
Maybe.
know. I mean, for all we know,
He was trying to get out there.
For
Gwayne
all
was
we
like, you'll have to
know-
go through me.
for all we know, Darren's dead on the show. We don't know because that's, I mean, I don't think so.
Nobody.
Nobody, no crime.
Nobody. Gawain is very ash covered and worried at the end to see. He's like, Darren, where are you? And he
We
kind of
think Darren's
pushed him out of the
alive.
way of
Yeah.
the flame. Nobody.
Okay.
Other than
Let's not keep up the farce.
Stannis.
Daeron Long and the Dying.
I did love in this Gawain Darren moment Kristen's presence for Gawain still, I fought beside other brave men who believed that death was the only path to glory. Do not die for Ormond's vanity. My boy.
My boy.
My boy. He's more of a father to Daeron than Ormond, certainly, or fucking Viserys. I mean, this is the real family here. Love these two. Hope they're both thriving and fine.
Things are going to go well
man.
for everyone.
Ultimately, we're spared having to find out what would happen in the "you'll have to come through me, stay back" moment, because Tisarion's like, something's happening, and they run out to look, and they see Ulf and Silverwing have entered the fight. Ulf flying overhead to the whoops and cheers from Team Black below, only for him to turn Silverwing around and burn that army, shouting Dracarys. Great reaction shots, Corlys's horror down below. But then, of course, he immediately turns on Team Green too, because he was not actually loyal to Team Green. He just wanted some stuff. Ormond promised it. Then he shamed him and took it away. So who's he actually loyal to? Himself. He's not Team Black. He's not Team Green. He's Team Ulf. We're cutting to the Roddy pursuit of Ormond in that fight. The smashing of the shield into the teeth. Ormond severs Roddy's
beautiful
arm.
smile.
I know, it's sad, but he's dead and burnt, so it doesn't matter now. Would have mattered. He would have gotten some Westerosi veneers, I think, if he had survived this. The blood spurting into Ormond's mouth and him gagging and then the knife up the ass. Just a treasure trove in this exchange. And then they're both burned alive by Ulf, who's like, fuck you, burns them. Great, I guess, vision. How did Ulf see Ormond exactly? Very specific shiny armor.
The precision of the dragon, I guess, at the end of the day. The fact that Silverwing, we got several emails about this, but the fact that Silverwing Dracarys is both sides of the fight is very sheep stealer in the Battle of the Gullet, right? Where this time on purpose from the writer, but very much like a dragon shows up and just torches both sides of the fight. And also we got an interesting email comparing Ulf to sheep stealer, or just sort of like this question of the illusion that we control, the notion that we control dragons is an illusion.
Yes.
The notion that we control dragon riders is an illusion, right? At the end of the day.
Sure.
What's the difference in terms of a dragon and a dragon rider in terms of that idea of control?
Well, that's going to have to be on their minds after this.
Something to
I'd
think
be
about.
worried.
I Googled this. We could get a Valyrian steel sword duel if in a Night of the Seven Kingdoms flashback.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So we could.
Oh, we could for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Other than that,
I think that'll happen.
I'm unclear at this point how many flashbacks we're gonna get. But other than that, I think this is it.
The fog of Dragon War, Joe.
I mean, but how do you feel? I actually haven't seen as much pushback on this as I thought I would.
About Daemon?
About John Roxton just like handing
Handling
Daemon
him?
his ass.
I mean, Jon is a very capable warrior, and he has a Valyrian steel sword, and Daemon is,
is Daemon Targaryen. Like,
I think Daemon should have acquitted himself a little bit better in
Yeah,
this fight. I
just
do.
a smidge.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I did get a kick out of Matt Smith, as always, in House of the Dragon's Belt, being like, I wanted it to be a bar brawl.
Yeah.
He's just
And he's like, I
hysterical.
hate the small council scenes.
That was so funny. And then he's like, I get why we need them.
We've
but
heard the
like,
story.
I hate them. That was hysterical. It was the Field of Fire, writ small, Grand Maester Munkin wrote. We love the Field of Fire. I mean, it was a horror show, but the
Better than
decimation and
Loot
destruction.
Train battle, I'll tell you that much right now.
No winners, as usual in Dragon War. Decimation, destruction. Daemon spared from, I guess, being murdered by John Roxton by the cascading wood. But as we talked about earlier, then he has to look out at the hellscape around them that he has helped to usher in.
Yeah.
We talked about this. Any other further thoughts on Daemon's?
No, but this is so Corlys shows up, right?
Yes.
And says, Ulf has turned, the town is lost, we are leaving. A moment that I really, really love,
Yes.
right? And our listener Leanne wrote in to say, I found it interesting in this episode that it was Corlys who comes to Daemon after the battle becomes unmanageable and advises they leave, and Daemon does, having had his bell properly rung. In this season 1 episode where Corlys and Daemon are fighting the Triarchy and reach a point where the battle becomes unmanageable, it is also Corlys who goes to Daemon and suggests they bail or accept help from Viserys. But that time Daemon doubled down and took on the army himself. Is this growth? Is he just 50 and the knees aren't as
Yeah,
structurally sound
exactly.
as they once were?
He's old. He doesn't have the constitutional integrity to be
washed.
covered in fucking grayscale blood at this point. You need to be young for that shit,
Yeah.
man. Oh, God. What if we get another, like a return to the short hair from Daemon after this, though? That would be great.
I'm sure Matt Smith would enjoy shorter hours in the wig chair, probably.
You think? What does he hate more, the wig chair or the small council scenes? So funny. We get a very brief shot of Silverwing flying, pursued by Caraxes, who is shooting flame,
Toasting
toasting the
her
tush.
bum. Yeah.
And then Vermi, the Bronze Fury, the mount of the old king himself, now paired with Hugh Hammer. But he was cradling his dead wife, Cat. Very sad. So
Who do you
Vermithor is
think?
alone, flying after Caraxes and Silverwing.
Dun, dun, dun. Who do you think killed Cat?
So there's a very quick flash of soldiers from both sides going into Cat's house, which
Yeah.
to me was kind of like effective to say,
It doesn't matter.
everyone is a villain. Everyone is to blame. There are no winners, only losers.
I think there were a lot of Winter Wolf bodies around Cat at
Which,
the end of the day.
do you want to be invoking the bells? I would say no. But I think the Rook's Rest comp is a more favorable one. But in one of the harrowing things that happens, of course, in the bells, among the many, we start to see soldiers from the north, like raping, pillaging, killing.
And John's like, no.
Exactly. Exactly.
Says more like, no.
No, I don't want it. Charred ruins everywhere.
But if it was the Winter Wolves,
Yeah, that'd be bad.
what killed Cat? How's Hugh Hammer going to feel about that?
Well, I think he's just going to feel very bad about all of this in general. But again, blame all around. So
He had one desire this season, and it was to, get a house, but also
Yeah,
get
a
Cat,
living.
get
Yeah.
Cat out of
So you can start
Tumbleton.
paying
That's
me.
all.
yeah,
Allison had one job this season, and it was to get Helaena out of King's Landing.
on that front.
Yep.
Rhaenyra arrives back at the Red Keep, and Alinda's like, I've got some news.
Helena's like, it's bad news.
It's been a
all
bad
the way
day.
down today. Jesus
It's been
Christ.
a busy, bad day.
Our listener Megan said, I can't believe you lost Baela Breakspear, Humphrey Beesbury, Jace the Face, and Helaena within the last 6 months. Big sad.
Jace the Face is really something, my God. The Great Sept, different, of course, from the Sept of Baelor, but the Great Sept, visible as we pan out quite deliberately, certainly, from this window, makes us think of our guy Tommen. Tough one. Just spare all around.
Landing.
Alicent's out in the wild as the butterflies rise around her.
Beware them.
Beware the butterflies! And also the beautiful metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly, etc.
I mean, absolutely beautiful. Like in terms of the tapestry, like the image, the sort of butterfly-esque image of Helaena falling.
Really great with the kind of the silver of her tears, the silver of her hair.
Yeah, and the
Even
gown.
The
It just
scale.
looks very like wingy.
Yeah, it did. And like
Is that a word? Wingy?
Wingy. Bewinged? You once said bewigged about someone wearing a wig, so bewinged, why not? The scale, like this comparative size of Helaena compared to the Red Keep, but what that kind of signals to us about the magnitude of this moment and this death.
Helaena doesn't really care for scale in her tapestrying.
No. So Rhaenyra picks that up, sees that, then goes, just one pane back. I would have looked at it all.
I would have rolled it up and taken it with me, and we would have poured over and I would have been like, more red meat for red eats. Get on the case.
That is a Vampire Lestat reference and an excellent one. Incredible. Red meat. Oh my God. I missed that. That was so good. So Rhaenyra sees herself on the Iron Throne. Bleeding. Cut and judged by the throne. I think that seems in play.
Fire
and blood all around.
Dragons roaring, hands reaching.
Cut hands, bloody fingers, the cut hands. The flame, the dragon claw, the human hands, the like kind of like blood magic, blood mage element of maybe the unholy, to go back to the Doom of Valyria, like what is this power? The dragon orgy, never a bad time to think of the tapestries. There's that. But the overall, not only the illusion of control, but the tie between this dance and the Doom and the hearkening of a new Doom, series-long warning, rendered in creative, artistic form here. We had a different interpretation of this than Chris Ryan. That was a fun discussion. Are you still in the same spot?
Yeah, I think we're right.
Me too. Yeah, same.
But a lot of the commenters agreed with Chris. So.
I really liked the read from Chris. I thought it was really interesting. The idea that, I'm paraphrasing his check it out on Talk of the Thrones or on the of our Instagram. The idea that Rhaenyra is like, I'm seeing what I want to see. That actually tracks to me that Rhaenyra is.
She's like, yep, me on the throne.
Yes. I think we had a related but the kind of opposite read, which is I see something here that should be, I, the person who sought a dreamer to sanction my mission, now see something, I would say clearly, undeniably, deeply worrying and concerning, and am past the point.
None of my business.
Of allowing myself to care.
Let's close the window on this conversation.
As Stannis Baratheon once said, we march toward victory, we march toward defeat, but we go forward, only forward. So, yeah. My favorite detail on the extended look of the tapestry, by the way, from House the Dragons Built, was in the blood and cheese stretch, the rat holding
chef.
the knife.
Yeah, the rat chef.
Great stuff.
Dany's on there too, naked with her dragons. And we know that Helaena was in that.
She was
dream.
peeping on Daemon's vision. Dream peeping.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Dragon Math update.
Let's do it. Team Green. Vhagar. Still in the Riverland specific location unknown. Not with Aemond.
Mm-hmm.
Sunfyre. Frankly, thriving. Back with his rider, Aegon. In the Riverlands currently in Harrenhal. But Aegon's got plans to head elsewhere. And Sunfyre is...
Tessarian.
I was going to say Sunfyre is the object of prophetic wonder. So that's cool for Sunfyre. Tessarian, chained. Still. In Tumbleton and the Sept.
Team Black. Caraxes. Roasting some tush.
Did great.
But with Daemon and Tumbleton. Yeah. Syrax in King's Landing with Rhaenyra. Still, we have to imagine injured.
Probably, yeah.
Angry Riders is what you've written in the notes here.
Yes.
Vermithor with a despondent Hugh in Tumbleton.
Yep.
Sea Smoke in King's Landing with Adam, a tiny bit injured. Moon Dancer in King's Landing with Baela.
Yes.
And Taraxes with Joff still too small to fight.
Yes. So and Taraxes has never been part of their 6 count. So they're down, Taraxes technically, but they're down to 5.
I would say they're basically down to 2.
They're down to 5, and 3 of those 5 are really pissed right now.
Yeah.
So that's
so it's really
not good.
Caraxes and Syrax. And now that, and again, this is a book change, but if they can find Vhagar, the idea that Sunfyre and Vhagar are together, it's not great.
That would be a formidable pairing.
Free agent. Silverwing.
Free agent is definitely on the Silverwing is a solo team. This is a team of one.
Yeah,
Ulf
not
and
free.
Silverwing.
Yeah. Not a free agent. That's
fully
incorrect
flipped
use.
off of Team Black, but not
Team
to
Ulf.
Team Green. Team Ulf.
Team Ulf.
Team Ulf, the Dragon Lord. Undeclared or unpaired.
Team White is what Ulf is. Okay.
Sheep Stealer. Separated from Rhaenyra, healing. But in the story still.
Could be Team Black if they had managed that better.
Exactly. Dreamfire. It's devastatingly now without a rider. Helaena is Dreamfire's rider, and Helaena just died. So Dreamfire does not have a rider, and Dreamfire is in King's Landing.
Yeah.
Cannibal and Grey Ghost, Wild Dragons, still unclaimed.
Odin Boot. And then R.I.P.
Yeah.
Arax, Melis, Vermax.
Sad.
Dream Club. Okay.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hear anything about book events that we think might be relevant in season 4, thank you for listening this season. We've cherished our time with you, and we'll see you for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 2, and hopefully many things between now and then. If you want the book spoilers, stay tuned. All right. What do we got? Where are the little blonde babies? Many emails. Many emailers are asking. Where are the little blonde babies?
Many emails are asking where are the little blonde babies. Do you think they're going to come back in the final season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess it's, I don't know. It'd be weird to be like Viserys got snatched and still try to make room for that. Aegon has to be back.
Okay.
Really,
Hail.
Viserys should not be back.
Aegon the Conqueror, babe.
Exactly. Third of his name. They also have to kill Stormcloud, who is in the show and we have met. He was so tiny, but we saw baby little Stormcloud with Aegon last season. I think that we need to see Aegon crowned at the end of the show, so he has to come back. Viserys, I guess they'll just like mention got kidnapped or something. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. But Aegon has to come back and then say my dragon died and my brother got kidnapped, I guess.
He's like 2.
I mean, he really needs to be there to watch what happens on Dragonstone. He really does. For the history of Westeros, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not for the show, but for the history of Westeros. Speaking of Dragonstone. We've been talking about this all season, but now, given what we witnessed with Aegon and Aemond in this episode, where are you on the question of whether the Aegon and Sunfyre are like lying in wait for Rhaenyra on Dragonstone is going to be a kind of like if the show is going to make that a twist and a surprise?
You know what I want? You know who I want to pull this off? Larys. Because you were like Larys going back to King's Landing, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but my guy, he of the weaving deceptions. I would love for him to somehow orchestrate that.
That'd be fun. I miss those two together.
Our listener Cameron, in the Aegon Aemon scene, Aegon, when he's threatening Aemon, should have Sunfyre burn Aemon alive.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about Rhaenyra.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then Megan said in an interview with Fia Sabin, she pointed out that the dragon fire around Rhaenyra that I took as foretells her eventual end on Dragonstone by Sunfyre and Aegon. I didn't notice the fire the first time in the watch, but would make sense. So maybe part of that sort of vision of Rhaenyra on the throne is her ultimate end as well. Like, I mean, it's not a golden dragon, but there's dragon face, there's fire, there's the hand, is that depicting her death behind the throne sort of thing? Could be.
A lot of tragedy ahead.
What else?
Aemond's choice. So he has to be at Harrenhal for God's Eye with Daemon. But when Daemon shows up in the book, he's got to wait 13 days for Aemond to come. There is I think it's entirely possible that Aemon's just like, I'm staying with Alys here. And I think it's possible that he goes with Aegon and then has to come back, maybe because they have set up the phrase retaking Harrenhal. So if he hears that Alys is in peril, would he go back to be with her?
I would like it. Fine. I would not like Alys to be taken by the fucking phrase.
Canonically, Sabbath of the Frey should be hiding in the privy, cowering in terror, so she should not get the jump on Alys even for a second, but more like if Aemond thinks that she's in any danger. Ulf. Okay, I have a question about this. So they kind of did the second Tumbleton thing with Ulf.
It did like Tumbleton 1.5.
Yeah. So, and there are, I mean, I guess like this could be on the Daeron front a question too, in terms of just where's Daeron? Like what happened exactly in some mystery there as a possibility. But like Ulf sleeps through, it's just wasted and sleeps through second Tumbleton. Are they going to do that again? Or did they do it here instead and they'll do something else in second Tumbleton?
Well, the question, so some people are like,
are we not getting
is
second
Tumbleton just Ash at this point? But I
Yeah.
think you need Hugh and Ulf
Yes.
and the
Caltrops.
Caltrops, everything.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be enough Tumbleton left standing that they still are like posted up there. You know what I mean?
Storming of the Pit, there aren't as many dragons
Mhm.
to do the exact like carnage scale of the Fire and Blood text. So obviously that will be a seminal moment. And
Yeah.
when you pair like Cyrax and everything, even though that's not under the dome, but the proximity, the sheer volume of dragon death at second Tumbleton is one of the most significant moments in the dance. It just has to happen.
I agree.
It has to. So I was a little bit like, oh, interesting to have that Ulf thing happen here, but maybe he'll just be up to some other shit, or this is just the thing he does. Sleeps through battle because he's drunk.
On the Hugh front.
Yes.
So we were trying to figure out how they would get to like Hugh turning, and the answer was they didn't. So fine.
Yeah.
But do you think that like if Vermithor, who as we talked about on Talk the Thrones is like paired with Silverwing,
Yes.
if Vermithor attacks Caraxes for attacking Silverwing, even if Hugh is not on Vermithor,
Yeah.
will it matter? And will just Hugh be accused of being a traitor anyway because Vermithor is there and somehow involved in, the fight?
I think that all of those, there will be the suspicion cast on all the seeds because of what Ulf has done. So Hugh will fall under suspicion.
Even
Adam
Adam
will fall under
who
suspicion
Was
for sure.
just looking beautiful at home.
That's always. But I think that it would, to me, it feels more interesting if it's a more active choice from Hugh and he's just like, my wife is dead and I blame everyone for that. So like, I'm curious if there's any moment of alliance between Ulf and Hugh or if they're both just on their own side. Now, I don't think Hugh in the show has been set up to do the like, okay, there's the Robert Baratheon hammer prophecy that Hugh thinks is about him and like, declaring himself king. I don't know that we'd have to get to a place really quickly where that felt totally credible for this character.
Yeah.
But I do think that he's at the point now to reject serving Team Black. So I think if he went back and they were like, you're not trusted, I would actually find that a little bit strange. Like he should just take his dragon and his ball and go home. Do what he wants.
Go where?
Right here. Stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think he's staying at Tumbleton, but I feel, well, we'll see.
Yeah. Because
I feel
guess
like the reason is because they're going to be like, you didn't stay at the dragon pit where you're supposed to. Like, it's a treason, even though he did not actively get on his dragon and do what Ulf did.
For sure.
Him leaving his post at King's Landing and being there. It's called the Treasons, plural, at Tumbleton.
Yes. But my question is like, why does he care if they're like, you left your post? Like, why would he want to work for them at this point anymore at all?
It's a great point.
So I don't know. We'll see. Adam. This is the first time we've kind of been joking all season of like, have we been pressing our thumb too heavily on the scale with Adam? Sweet Adam never did a wrong thing. Our beloved Adam. This was the first episode where I was like, oh, maybe they're doing something different with Adam and he's not actually going to remain loyal to Rhaenyra. Is that possible?
I don't know about like loyal, but I do think he will show up when he needs to show up.
Yeah.
You know?
And that would actually be, I think that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Is for him to.
Like, what if he goes to the Isle of Faces because he's like conflicted?
Yes, exactly.
You know?
And that I would really, I think we need that as somebody to stay, to commit to their allegiance, but ask questions and push back, right? If everyone's just like, fuck off, peace out, that's not quite as interesting. Daeron.
Is he dead? So something you wrote here, and this is something we had discussed before, we were like, unless the Zelda filming schedule means they're fast-forwarding to Second Tumbleton's mysterious fate, they cannot do this, says Mallory Rubin. Is Daeron dead? Or we don't think so. We think that like Gwayne and Daeron and Ulf and Hugh and bold John Roxton, that's going to be a very interesting, they've really set that up to be a very interesting story in Tumbleton in season 2. But there is a question of like, did Daeron just leave?
Yeah.
Just mysteriously disappear after the second Tumbleton,
Right.
or did he die?
All this fight or flee talk this season now, I think it does at least introduce the possibility.
We've been talking all season, though, about the fact that, like, Ormund doesn't have any sons. And inside of this episode, Corlys is like, what if we marry Rhaenyra to Daeron?
Yeah.
In the book, Rhaenyra marries one of Ormund's sons, and that is the political marriage. Like, is there any way in which they keep Daeron alive? I know.
No.
We're just in fan fiction at this point,
He either has to be killed or he has to
mysteriously disappear.
He has to decide, like, I don't want to be a part of this at all, and I'm going to go live anonymously, which they have done with characters in the show who we thought were dead. Laenor did that, right? So I think it's always a little trickier with dragon riders, but there's tough stuff ahead for our beloved Blue Queen.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, if Tessarion is dead, is there any way the show, not the book, the show, could keep Daeron alive and have Daeron and Rhaenyra marry? Because Garmin Hightower is not on the show.
So. Because then it's like because then one of Viserys's kids is alive, and there would be no alignment around Aegon the Third. Then too many people would still be like, Daeron should be king. It's just that I think that's like a fork. That's like a TVA alternate branch timeline that I think doesn't align. I would love for Daeron to live. I'd be thrilled, but I
don't think given all of the changes we've seen on this show. I don't think it's off the table.
I think Daeron being confirmed alive and I'm sailing off to Essos for cinnamon and oranges is completely possible. And I think that would be interesting for him to declare so consistently, I don't want people to fight for me and die for me. I want to be out there, but then actually pick in the fight or flee. That would be an interesting character journey. Him staying in in the court of King's Landing, I think would be difficult to pull off.
If he's just like back in Old Town with Rhaenyra. And it's just sort of like Corlys's plan comes to pass, and they make this political marriage that Corlys proposes here, and this is part of the piece. And his dragon is dead, and he's got red hair, and he's like, I don't even look like a Targaryen. I don't have a dragon anymore. I don't want it. I just want to go back to Old Town.
Maybe. And then, because Sheepstealer has somehow died and mourning is born to Rhaenyra per the email we got a couple weeks ago. It's like, maybe. Could happen. Mysaria. Speaking of things that could happen, do you think that this is 100% locked that Mysaria is going to be the shepherd in season 4? Or are they like test ballooning it? They're certainly test ballooning it at a minimum. Do you think there's a chance that they're like, people don't seem hyped about this, we'll walk it back? Or no?
Maybe. And it's possible that there is like a guy with
puppet
one
shepherd,
arm, blah, blah, but it's really Mysaria and Sylvie. The Sylvie question, a common theory has been that Sylvie is actually Sylvana Sand and will sort of like be involved in that regard. So like that Sylvie will be involved, that Mysaria will be involved, that Alinda, her girl on the inside, will somehow be involved in this mass conspiracy to, take down the dragons and take down Rhaenyra. But I think there's, given how unpopular Mysaria was, and they're like, fuck you, we're going to double down, because we were like, are they going to run Mysaria off the show because people don't really like her? And they're like, nope, she's even more in the show than ever before. I really think they're going to be like, she's integral to the final season.
I think so too. It definitely seems like they're setting her up to be the shepherd. Here's a question for you. If Aegon the Third, Aegon the Dragonbane, does not come back into the show, and Alinda is really Team Mysaria and is not there to gouge out her own eyes, who is watching Rhaenyra die?
Alyson.
But she'd be cheering for it at that point.
Would she? I think she's going to feel conflicted until the end.
After Helaena?
Yeah.
I think there's no path back for them now.
No, I don't think there's a path back, but it's not going to be like a clean break.
Here's a question on the Alyson front. We can hit the Shepherd emails in a second. But like, are you worried at all? I think consistently the show has avoided this concern. We've had moments, we've gotten emails from people over the seasons. Alyson doesn't have that much story. What are they going to do? This is basically like the third lead of the show, right? One of the three main leads of the show. I did have a moment when I was like, Alicent was in the finale of season 3 for 2 seconds. Should we be concerned about that in terms of just like how to keep incorporating Alicent into the story when there's not that much? Is that a concern at all, or no? Do you think they'll continue to find like versions of Alicent went to Dragonstone, Rhaenyra went to the Sept, etc., to give us the meaningful moments between these characters?
I think the latter. Just because I know how much that is the juice of the show.
How many versions of those two talking in a room about whether there's a path forward can we do?
I don't know how many versions of Hey Rhaenyra, the crown will corrupt you did we get this season.
Loved them all.
Okay.
Loved them all. Anything else on Mysaria as the shepherd?
Our listener Michael came through with some just a roundup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sleeper picks could still include Larys, always plotting.
Yes.
Sylvie up with the people. Or while oh no, you did not just blab Aegon's prophecy in a public speech. Gwayne, alive way past his book character, and Alyn, my bad on the High Septon killing. Yeah, the two main contenders are Mysaria and Alicent. Mysaria's chances went way up when she stepped off the retirement wagon to Pentos. She's got unfinished business with Rhaenyra, though I think Alicent should still be the favorite. Keeping Helaena alive was her sole motivation, and perhaps she'll lose a hand on the perilous journey back to King's Landing. She's also much more Light of the Seven coded than Mysaria. Beyond that, Olivia Cook is one of the stars of the show, and her character has almost nothing to do in season 4, according to the histories. You would hate this because you really want the shepherd to be an actual commoner, and Mysaria would count in a way that Alicent would not.
Yeah, I think the connection to like any sort of religious doctrine is a little bit of a harder sell with Mysaria, but I think Mysaria has been positioned effectively as a character who knows what to use in order to do the thing. And if she thinks that, especially after the High Septon was just killed, the way to align her flock is to lean into the religious rhetoric, that she would do that, whether it was with a puppet shepherd or herself.
I agree.
I do think it feels really the show has committed to focusing on the small folk and whether the Targaryens or the High Towers are fit to try to claim to rule and protect the small folk when they don't give a shit about them and don't understand them. So I think the shepherd having that history, dating back to Mysaria's very initial like that season 1, episode 2 fight with Daemon about, her history. That part of it would work. So I'm very open to Mysaria as shepherd, actually. Like it's a huge change, but I think it could work. Alicent would be a much harder
sell. As soon as we saw her in the crowd, I felt like it was a lock. I was just like, oh. She gets off the wagon and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, the prophecy. A listener Colin wrote in with a theory, which is just sort of like, as we discuss, how does Rhaegar find the prophecy?
Mm-hmm.
Could it be instead of like, oh, I found the dagger, or I found this or whatever, he found the scroll that said, "Dear Diary, today Queen Rhaenyra said something cuckoo bananas on the stairs of the Sept.
Yeah.
And this is me, Orwell, writing it down. And doesn't this sound absolutely nutter butter?"
Fuck Orwell. I think your theory from last week that it's Torrin Manderley's diary is a lock now, given his reaction. That's gotta be it.
Anyway, that has been House of the Dragon.
Season 4 coming in 2028. Is that right? Jeez, that sounds like a really long time.
Will we be here?
On Earth? I don't know.
I don't know.
Will any of us be? Thank you. Thank you to our squad, our Queen's Guard, for a wonderful season of House of the Dragon coverage. Carlos Chiraboga, Scott Lee, Jacob Cornett, Arjuna Ramgopal, Jomia Daeron, Squad. Thank you to the Bad Babies, as always.
Amazing.
Thank you to you, Joanna Robinson. Love to go to Westeros together.
Thank you to you, Mallory Rubin. So excited to go back for Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Same. Can't wait.
And also before that, to the UK with you to see the Mad King play.
We'll be there.
Okay. Sure. We'll see you soon. Bye.